The GMT tournament has reached its equator. Round 4 of the classical tournament is finished with 2 victories with the white color, 2 exciting draws. So let's have a look at some of the most interesting key moments in yesterday's games. We're going to start with the game of Daniel Bogdandiak playing against David Navara. Bogdandiak decided to stick to his English opening repertoire, c4, knight f6, knight c3, e5. Once again playing e3, the continuation he was playing against Vincent Kammer a couple of rounds ago. Bishop b4, queen b3. This time the remaining grandmaster changed his approach. Instead of knight g2, which was played in the aforementioned game, Navara immediately gave up the bishop, queen e7, clearly thinking about early d5, getting some sort of a reversed Scheveningen and Sicilian structure. h3 was played, d5, c takes on d5, knight e5, queen c2. Black very quickly castled, and now this position seemed very familiar, perhaps to some of the viewers, because we get a reverse Sicilian Khan, only white is playing it. Bishop g4, bishop b2, white very quickly developed a bishop on the long diagonal, knight e7, bishop d3, another typical maneuver of the Khan. Knight f6. Navara was very solid, and although Diak tried to complicate matters, he was thinking about ideas like f4, short castle, maybe g4, g5. It was simply probably not meant to be. a5, very precise counterattack for black at the queenside. Knight g3, bishop g6. Here, the remaining grandmaster decided to take on g6, perhaps something he shouldn't have done, and kept the control of the f5 square. However, white doesn't really have any advantage. And then after bishop takes, h takes, b5. Here after a4, black already found a very nice target on the pawn on b5. Short castle, rook a5, bishop here, pawns were traded. And after rook b6, here the remaining grandmaster didn't find anything else but to repeat the position. So this probably marks the shortest game of the classical tournament so far. He could have continued the game. There was no need to repeat the position. For example, rook fb1 and try to utilize on the power of the Daxwa bishop. But then once again, Diak had a very long day the previous day. He defended a very difficult endgame against the Chinese grandmaster Yu Yanyi. So draw gives him a little time to rest and prepare for the next encounters in the GMT tournament. Jules Mussar playing against Amin Bassem. We saw yet another Ray Lopez Brea variation. This is what Amin Bassem had already played a couple of rounds ago against David Navara. They repeated the same line. h3, knight b8, one of the typical ideas of the Breyer. d4, knight e7, a4. Bishop b7, knight e2. And the only difference here is compared to what Bassem played against Navara, he opted for rook e8, bishop f8, g6, bishop g7. And you might remember, this is where Navara found this very interesting idea, bishop g5, bishop c1 went back. And as you already know, Navara won a very nice game. Here the Egyptian grandmaster tried something else. He played c5. After bishop c2, queen c7, knight f1, he opted for a different approach this time, traded the c-pawns, and was seeking a counterplay at the queenside. Bishop b1, quite a smart choice by white, keeping control of the e4 square. And here, after b takes on a4, the Frenchman unleashed a new move. He played bishop d2, which is a novelty never played before, thinking about ideas to position the bishop on c3, perhaps at some point give the bishop a new role on this diagonal. E takes on d4 was a very committal choice by the Egyptian grandmaster. Knight takes on d4, and knight c5, it appears to be an accuracy. Bishop f8 probably was the better choice, thinking about to play either d5 or perhaps g6, bishop g7, and have a pretty decent game. Knight c5 feels though very logical, because not only attacks the pawn on e4, but also defends the pawn on a4. Knight f5 was a strong response. The pawn on e4 is taboo due to various queen g4 tracks at the end of the line. Knight b3, rook a4, knight e2, knight e7, queen d2, and at the end of the complications, white simply secured himself a pretty solid advantage. Why is that? Black has a weakness on d6, and he cannot take the pawn on e4. The game continued with rook c5, rook d4, rook e8, knight g3. Here, as you can see, white already is threatening to take on d6. He's thinking about some ideas at some point to play knight f5. Of course, not immediately because black can capture, and the white rook on e1 is hanging. So h5 was played by Bassem, threatening to play h4 at some point. b4, good move for white, rook e5, and f4, threatening to win material. Now here, Bassem had to play rook d5, which looks rather awkward, but again, e takes on d5 never is an option because the rook on e1 is hanging. Rook d5, bishop takes on d5, and here arose a critical moment. Engines like knight f5 first and then e5, but to be honest, e5 immediately makes also a lot of sense, at least from the human perspective. And White's idea is really simple. He attacks the knight on f6, and if the knight retreats, the black bishop on d5 is hanging. g6 was played, Bassem protected f5 square, and here we go very quickly to the critical moment. Rook e2, white protects the rook on e2 and is seemingly winning a piece, because now e takes on f6 becomes a prime threat. Queen h7 check was played, king h2, and h4, a mistake which could have cost Bassem the game. Apparently, he had to include d takes, f takes, and only then play h4. Now, the point is that after white's possible capture on f3, h takes on g3, probably white is not really in the mood to take on g3, because you can see the king's exposed, there's all kinds of checks and no safe shelter for the white king. After the game, Jules Massard said that he believed that after h4, a very strong move is knight f5, and this is also what the Egyptian grandmaster told, that he didn't like this move because after the pawn trade, he saw all kinds of ideas of queen h6, queen g7, and you can't really take it. There's queen g5 check, but engines remain merciless. They say queen c7, black is perfectly fine. So if white plays queen h6, knight h5, this is a move which was spotted in the post-game analysis. However, if white continues knight d6 and is careless, this can backfire because black can actually sacrifice a queen and become victorious because he has a very strong counterattack. Pretty sure this would have been noticed by both players at the point already. So instead of this, h4 was played immediately by Bassem, and the key idea here that both players rejected the obvious e takes on f6. Why is this? After h takes, king g3, rook e2, queen e2, apparently both of them missed that queen d4 is not such a good move. It seems that pawn on f6 cannot be defended. However, after the very nice, quiet move, queen d3, white forces the queen trade. As you can see, this queen cannot go to f6 or b4, because if black takes on b4, white captures, queen b1, there's a simple check on a8, queen f8, the mate on g7 is inevitable, and black only has one check on b3 or d3, and the white king simply escapes to h2. So knight f5 instead was played by the French champion following his idea, and he missed one idea which he was quite unhappy about in the post-game analysis. He intended to play knight e6, which he did play in the game, and the entire point here is that after f takes on e5, the Frenchman simply missed queen e7. So the point is, after e takes on f6, there's queen d6, intermezzo check, and white is in trouble, so he cannot do that. Queen f4 would leave the bishop on d5 unattacked, and black could just play knight h5, knight g3, and take over the game. So white had no choice but to repeat the position with knight c8, knight e6, and draw was agreed. The third game of the day was the reigning champion Lequang Liem playing against Arjun Narigaisi. For Liem, this was the chance to try to come closer to the overall rankings. For Arjun, the tournament so far has been going really disappointingly. Knight e7, rather rare move. Queen c2 here, the Vietnamese grandmaster decided to play a rather rare line. Bishop b4, a3, again, a very interesting choice by white. White takes on c3, establishes himself the bishop pair, and is thinking about some breakthroughs in the center at some point later. c5, e3, castles, bishop e2, queen c7, a4. All of this makes perfect sense. And here, the young Indian made a very committal choice. He played c4, which sometimes by a couple of players was dubbed as a potential mistake because it removes any tension from the center. Liem suggested perhaps c takes on d4 was necessary. Knight takes on d4, knight e5, and we have about balanced game. But again, if white manages to play either c4, e4, he might try to utilize the power of the two bishops. Now, instead, c4 was played. And after knight e2, white is dreaming about future scenario to play f3, e4, not only gaining the center, but also opening the docks with bishop on c1. After knight e2, b6, short castle, rook e8, rook e1, white is simply carrying out the idea. And here perhaps bishop b7 was the step in the wrong direction. Black had to play knight f8, knight g6, and think about organizing a kingside attack. And the bishop apparently better belongs on d7. It is really easy to say, of course, because the bishop on b7 at least tries to slow down white's idea to push f3, e4. So after knight f1, a6, f3, b5, bishop a3, black organized the pass pawn on the queen side. All of this makes sense. Okay, maybe rook b1 is a bit strange move. Sorry, I jump back. So perhaps, yeah, indeed, rook b1 was a bit strange move. White could have continued to improve his position to put the bishop on c2. Rook b1, queen d2. Now Liam improved his bishop. Knight g3, bishop c2, bishop c5. This doesn't change much. And now already you can see e3, e4 is becoming a very serious threat. So black has to play h5, h4, counter this attack here. Rook e2, a4. And now, a very interesting moment here. So the Vietnamese grandmaster played rook e1, which appears to be a very logical move, because white is threatened to play e4. Apparently, not only the e4 square is one of the most important squares of the game, but it's also the c3 square. Apparently, he had to continue with queen e1, keeping a close eye on this square, and the black plays h4, knight f1, knight f2, followed by at some point e4, white keeps advantage. Now instead, the last year's champion played rook e1, and it could have backfired. If black had played h4, knight h1, knight a5, knight f2, knight b3, queen d1, and here's the key move, queen a5, which was pointed out by the Vietnamese grandmaster in the post-game analysis, attacking the pawn on c3, and after bishop b4, queen a8, not only black takes care of the e4 square, but also a3, a2, a1. He's too much of a big threat. It's difficult to say how the game would have continued on this occasion. Perhaps repetition of the position already is the best choice for both opponents. Now instead, here Arjun made a rather strange choice. He allowed white to play e4 with no resistance. Apparently he missed something, because after h4, white has a number of great choices. He can sacrifice a piece, go for a strong attack. The same idea is for knight f5, g takes, queen g5, and unleash a deadly attack at the king side. So after e4, black captured, knight e4, bishop e4, f takes on e4, and even with the naked eye, you can immediately see that apparently something has gone terribly wrong for black, because white has a strong pawn center, two bishops, and a potentially weak king. Queen b7 was played, and here probably it was the final chance for the young Indian, because Wang Liam made a final mistake. He played queen f4. Giving black unexpected resource to play knight e5. Let's say knight e5, queen g3, knight c7. Not only attacking knight b5, let's say white will play rook f1 or rook f2. After knight b5, it's difficult to find a good square for this bishop, because bishop b4 would jump into knight takes on d4, leaving the bishop on b4 unattended. So instead, black played something else. He played king g7, missing this final chance to come back in the game. And now Liam would never again let his advantage slip away. He moved all of his pieces towards the king side. He rejected winning an exchange a couple of times. He could have done it here, bishop f5. He could have taken the exchange on e7. He decided that his bishops are simply stronger. And after bishop e4, it was simply too much for the young Indian to hold this position. This is a pin. There's a strong attack. There's all kinds of threats at the king side. And the game continued with just a couple of moves. King g8, queen f3, attack on f7, attack on d5. And after rook e8, bishop d6, black had to stop the clock as the threats become overwhelming. Nice victory for the reigning champion, scoring the third victory in 4 rounds. And of course, the most exciting, perhaps not the most exciting, the most important game for the overall rankings was the game of Vincent Keimer against Yu Yanyi. Now Vincent stuck to his typical choice of playing d4, c4. This time he chose a Catalan with knight c3, which is sort of a testing line at the highest level, because after knight e5, black has to know really precisely how to hold the position. It's either c5 or knight c6. The Chinese grandmaster chose c5. D takes, queen d1, knight d1, bishop c5. White doesn't rush to win back the pawn on c4 immediately. He played short castle, knight e5, and now this very tricky move, knight e3. And apparently it worked, because the Chinese grandmaster appeared to be unfamiliar with this position and burned a lot of time trying to figure out the details. He chose the wrong plan. He took on e3 and played knight c6, which in the end he probably would regret. What he could have done, he could have, of course, still take with the bishop here and play perhaps the more safer choice, c3. Not only to keep the pawn, but try to ruin white's pawn structure. After knight takes on e3, f takes on e3, f6 was a very nice move for black. Knight e3 followed by rook f7, rook c7, and black slowly continues his development. And of course, white has a tiny edge, but he is the one who has to be a bit careful because his pawn structure has seen better days. Now instead, as I already said, the Chinese grandmaster played knight c6, knight c4. He was never really in the mood to take on e3 because not only white can capture with the knight, also f takes on e3 looks interesting, followed by knight d6, a very powerful square, rook d1, rook c1, beautiful pieces for white, so difficult choice for black to make. Now instead, rook d8 was played, rook d1, b5, and here Keimer found a nice resource, bishop g5, freeing the e3 square for the knight. f6, knight e3, a great resource. Apparently, f takes on g5, knight e5, bishop d5 is just bad for black. Despite the fact he has two minor pieces for the rook, he is losing a couple of more pawns, and the endgame is very near, where the rook and two pawns probably should dominate the two minor pieces. Now, instead, the Chinese grandmaster played knight e7, knight e5, knight e5, and during the commentary, we strongly suggest that bishop takes on f6. Now, the point is, after g takes e4, bishop b7, it would seem that white gets a very nice rook endgame, takes, rook c1. But what apparently we missed, that black can play this very nice idea, d5, d4, sacrificing a pawn. The point is, king f1, d3, white can never play king e1 because black activates his pieces. Let's say rook c5, black plays rook d8, threatening to push forward this pawn. And after king e1, once again, there is rook e8 check. So Keimer made the right choice. He kept the bishops on the board. He played bishop d2, threatened to play bishop a5, e4. Black tried to hold on with the knight on d5. And from here, we started to see a lot of maneuverings. Keimer could have pressed e4 very quickly. In the end, he decided not to rush with this because he was trying to provoke a weakness from his opponent. And the Chinese grandmaster committed. Yeah, so you see this e4 threat is hanging in there. So black decided to play knight f6, a move which was criticized by Keimer in the post-game interview. He said this only allows white to crash through and give him the easier game. After trade, rook c6, white applies some pressure here. And moving a bit forward, white was improving the pressure quite a bit. And the critical moment arose here. King d6 probably already was the final mistake of the Chinese grandmaster. He should have played knight e5 and tried to hold on. But then again, white is thinking about e4, f takes, knight f6, king e3. And this position just looks incredibly unpleasant because bishop e3, bishop c3, bishop d4. The bishop is incredibly strong here, and this position will be quite tough for black to hold. After king d6, after a couple of accurate moves, white managed to create difficult to parry threats. The queen side is falling apart. And we perhaps could just fast forward to the critical moment here. After h5, Keimer fixed these weaknesses on g7 and h6, rook c6, rook a7, and black probably made the final mistake. g5 had to be played. Instead, the Chinese grandmaster played g6, which seems to be the same. Now, the point is, rook f7 is incredibly strong. King e6 is impossible, and that's the difference. H takes on g6 is the possibility on the board. So after g takes, rook takes on f5. Black was seeking some counterplay at the queen side. It was not meant to be, because rook c2 simply never works due to rook takes on h6, and there is a mate threat on d6. There was nothing to be done, and the young German showed incredibly good skill to confidently hold this position to a logical victory. The Chinese grandmaster tried to complicate matters. He gave a couple of pawns, activating the king. King f1, rook c5, another nice trick by the German. Bishop b6, king d4, b4. White would simply force the rook trade. So the Chinese grandmaster couldn't do that. He played rook b8, and now here Keimer found a mating net on the board. rook d5, essentially sealing the deal of the game. Bishop d8 is unstoppable threat. Knight h2, knight f3 changes nothing. Here, after a couple of moves later, Keimer was very precise, forcing a rook trade or pushing for the f6 pawn, forcing black to resign. So these are the results of round 4 classical tournament. Kwang Liam scored 4 points against Arjun Rigaisi. Vincent Keimer bagged also 4 points against the top-seeded player Yu Yanyi. Jules Massar, Daniel Bogdan-Diak played draws against Amin Bassem and David Navarra, respectively. After 4 rounds in the classical tournament, combined with the rapid section, you can see that Keimer is in the charge of the tournament, 21 points. Navarra now has fallen to the second place, 8.5 points. Kwang Liam keeps his chances alive to defend his title he won last year. He is climbing back to the top 3 with 17 points. Everybody else is slightly behind. The action will resume today with the Blitz tournament. All the players will play Blitz tournament double round robin system of 14 rounds. The action starts at 2 p.m. Central European Summer Time. It might have big implications on the overall rankings, so don't miss it. Come back here, watch it live, and enjoy it. Hello, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day of the summer here in Biel, Switzerland. We are back with yet another very exciting day ahead of us because it's the Blitz time of the GMT tournament, the Grandmaster Triathlon. After 4 rounds in the classical tournament, after the rapid tournament, now it's time for the fastest time control of the tournament, where the players come back up to 14 points. Your host today will be Angelika Volkova. I'm Graham Startup Nations.
I bet Blitz portion of GMT is one of the most exciting and dynamic parts of the Grandmaster Triathlon and here Biel Chess Festival. We're going to see so much excitement. We are going to see many blunders, I guess, because players are going simply not have enough time.
That's right. So again, not a lot of time to think about, a lot of games to switch between, right? So again, make sure you get ready some popcorn. But I do believe we have about 5 minutes before the games are about to start, so it's a good idea, once again, to have a look at what is happening in the GMT tournament and what this tournament is all about.
And here we have our Grandmaster Triathlon format. Altogether, we have 28 games. We have the classical tournament with 7 games, rapid also with 7 games. And today we are having Blitz with 2 games against each other with each color with 14 games, double round robin, 2 tournaments. Yeah.
That's the time control, as you can see. Oh, sorry, not time control, scoring system. Time control is the next one. In the scoring system, in the Blitz at least, it's as usual. 1 point for the victory, half a point for a draw. Obviously, 0 bags, nothing for the players. Classical tournament, of course, is the most important one because every victory is worth 4 points. However, today, the players are going to play 14 rounds, which could have massive implications on the overall rankings.
And here we have the time control of the Grandmaster Triathlon. We already spoke a lot about the classical and rapid time control. Today we have Blitz with 3 minutes for the whole game and for 2 seconds increment per each move starting from move number 1. Not so much time.
That's right, and that's the reason why the players are here. It's 10,000 Swiss francs for the top finisher, 7,500 for the second place, 28,500 Swiss francs in total. Yeah, definitely something to fight for. Let's very quickly also have a look at who are these players in case you are new and you don't know who is playing in the GMT.
And here we have the field. We have top grandmasters with the average rating almost 2,700. We have Grandmaster Yu Yangyi from China. He won the Chess 960 tournament. He also played very well in the rapid this year. In the classical portion, he started with 3 draws, and yesterday he lost a game against Vincent Keimer. We have Le Quang Liam, Grandmaster from Vietnam, previous year winner of Grandmaster Triathlon. He's coming back to try to win the tournament again. We have Grandmaster Arjun Erigaisi, prodigy from China. We have the former #1 from Romania, Grandmaster Bogdan Daniel Diak. Vincent Keimer is current leader of the Grandmaster Triathlon. We have Egyptian champion Amin Bassem, also playing here in Grandmaster Triathlon. Gentleman of chess David Navarre is also there, and French champion Jules Moussard is here.
That's right.
And here we have the pairings for the first round of Blitz. David Navarre against Yuan Yi, Le Quang Liam against Jules Moussard, Arjun Erigaisi against Bassem Amin, and Bogdan Daniel Diak against Vincent Keimer. I think we're going to try to follow mostly one game, and then maybe we switch with the others, because it's so hard to follow in the Blitz time control all of the games. We are going to have only 3 minutes plus 2 seconds per time control. That's why I think we should start following the tournament with the current leaders of the Grandmaster Triathlon, either Vincent Keimer or David Navarre.
That's right. So I think we can jump in to the action, because we have 2 minutes. We don't still have the feed from the games, but still, let's do that, because at least we are going to see the players at the board. Hopefully, yep, Vincent magically appears on the board. Hopefully, we are going to get them in time. This time, we are going to follow the games, not from Chess.com's website, but from directly digital board, so that you are getting the moves immediately, not delayed, and yeah. Perhaps the only downside of this is, of course, that we cannot analyze anything on this board, but I don't think really, Angelika, we're going to have the time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will see that Bogdan Daniel Diak arriving to the board, and they greeted, and he just arrived to the board actually 1 minute before the start, very punctual. Vincent was already ready quite some time ago. Yesterday we had many interviews with almost all of the players, and both Vincent Keimer and Bogdan Daniel Diak said that they're looking forward to Blitz portion. We know they're extremely good Blitz players, and actually Vincent Keimer is vice champion in rapid, so he knows about the faster time controls.
That's right. Le Quang Liam is also the former world champion in Blitz. Was it back in 2013? Also, David Navarre ranks incredibly high in Blitz. All of these 8 invited grandmasters, they are playing about level of 2,700 ELO. Anybody can win. So I think, really, Angelika, it will simply be decided who has the best form today, who stepped with the right foot out from the bed, and yeah, based with some luck factors, it's going to be very exciting.
Exactly, and we have the first move, c4, knight f6.
All right.
Knight f3, 6.
It's interesting. The Romanian grandmaster sticks to his c4 repertoire.
Yeah.
Now it's again
Queen's,
b5 is
yeah.
quickly played.
Catalan.
Right.
Here.
This is pretty popular system for black, because white gets the center, very typically as in Grunfeld. White gets these pawns on c4 and b4. Black is trying to undermine it, positioning the bishop on b6, bishop b7. Yeah, this is a very, very popular line.
Yeah, we see how fast players playing out the moves. Yesterday, Vincent Keimer shared us during the interview about the preparation to Blitz. He said, simply, you need to know your stuff, you need to know your repertoire, and that's what players are doing here.
Right, and since the games are proceeding so fast, what we're going to do, we're simply not going to jump between the games. So what we could do, we are going to select one game, try to follow it until the end. If it finishes quickly, we are going to simply jump into another game. Right, so our attention, of course, will be first and foremost going for the leaders game. Right now, that's Vincent Keimer. That's why we're watching this game. Then, of course, we are going to make some switches and see and try to cover as many games as we can.
If you have some suggestions, maybe before the next round, something, maybe you could suggest us something, and we could follow that one game. But we will see. We will stick mostly to one game.
Perhaps
so for
only.
now.
I mean, if there's some crazy
Yes.
combination, then
yes,
we can
yes,
switch
yes.
to that.
Exactly.
Right?
So for now, everything looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it's about balance,
Yeah.
not a lot of action. White played a4. Not really sure if he wants to play a5. The trick is that White has a slightly better pawn structure, meaning he has the center, the pawns are protected each other, so maybe what remaining Grandmaster wants to do is he wants to create a potential weakness for Black at the queen side, then somehow target it, try to capture this pawn, and in the end, capitalize on this extra pawn in the center. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. A6 was played. So some preparation towards a5, right?
Right, a6, I guess to meet a5 and
It was
b5.
b5, yeah.
By the way, it's very also interesting that a lot of players have a specific repertoire for the rapid and accelerated time control games like Blitz and Rapid. This looks pretty much classic to me. I've definitely seen highest level players. The first one, which would jump to my mind, is Hikaru Nakamura, big fan of first move b3, because all you need to do is play easy to play systems, perhaps lines which don't require you to memorize a lot, because the time, it runs out very quickly.
Yesterday, Bogdan Daniel-Diak showed us on the board that the fun to play in OTB Blitz, actually King's Gambit. But he's not playing it, of course, here.
No, I mean, somebody might play it because, again, in Blitz, you want to try out openings which are perhaps, slightly offbeat, which are easy to play, and your opponent might potentially not know it. And who was it? I think it was Vincent who said that obviously you cannot prepare for all 14 games, but if you think that Vincent has done no homework for Blitz, probably that's wrong. I'm pretty sure he has some ideas in his mind prepared for this particular Blitz tournament.
Absolutely. I think the players have, beside their main repertoire, some tricks, some maybe poisonous ideas against specific opponents, of course. And yeah, we're going to see. Bishop e4, okay.
That's a pretty interesting move. I think White's going to blitz out something like e3, e3, knight e1, trade the bishops, try to land the knight on g3 or something. So, I mean, ideally, what Black is dreaming about, he's dreaming about creating this outside pass pawn at the queen. So let's say we remove every single piece from the board, only pawns we have. Black creates this outside pass pawn at the queen side, and then in the end, he somehow wins this because it's a known fact that these outside pass pawns in endgames, they work so well for the player who has it. But White, of course, is thinking about at some point to play d4, e4, d5, create this very strong pass pawn. We'll see who is going to get most of this.
And knight e1 is played, as Artur said, trading the bishops off the board. Now e4 is a big threat, trying to grab the center, potentially push the pawn forward. Maybe ideas like rook c4 could be there, rook c4 to double the rooks, and if rook takes and queen takes and attacking the a6 pawn, who knows? We will see. Okay.
Right now, Black needs to figure out what's he going to do with the rook. No, not with the rook, but the queen on d8.
Yeah.
So that's why queen e7 right now is not a possibility. I would be thinking something like rook c7, queen c8, not to give away the c file. So the c file is the only open c file here. So something like rook takes on c1, rook takes on c1, queen b8 doesn't make a lot of sense. So rook c7, of course, is on the board. Black keeps control of the most important open file.
Yeah, maybe White should trade the rooks and then play something like e4 to grab the center.
Yeah, but then he gives away the C file, right? So again, this would hand on the platter the C file. I think that both of them are thinking, how do I take care of the C file? What about something like rook C4 or rook C3? That makes perfect sense. Try to double the rooks.
Or queen d6.
Queen d6 is also a move. Yeah, queen d6 definitely deserves some attention. Queen d6, maybe this is going to force Black to play rook takes on c1, rook takes on c1, knight f6. trading the rooks. Then if white penetrates, the queens have the rook c6. The pawn on d4 is under attack. I'm not really sure. 93 is played.
93, very interesting. So at the knight f6 immediately blocking the d5 square.
The very first trick is played. The pawn on b6 was taboo. You could not take it because of the discovered attack. Rook takes on c1. Rook b1. I like this move, Angelika. He is threatening now to win the pawn on b6. Rook takes on c7. Queen b6 is a threat.
Yeah, not immediately taking the pawn, obviously, but first trade the rooks. Okay, a5 looks logical. Now if queen moves, there is a potential to trade the rooks on c1 and pawn on d4 would hang. So, for example, something like, okay, queen b2 was played to protect the rook. Rooks are traded.
Right. Queen d7. Now again, white is the move. I think white is tiny, slightly better. He has the better pawn structure. Maybe knight c4 makes sense. Queen a4, knight takes on b6. Not really sure. Maybe rook c4.
Maybe rook c4, I was thinking. Rook c4 protecting the rook, threatening to take the pawn on b4, but he's playing the move knight c4. Yeah.
As you can see, video is a bit delaying, something like half a second, but I think we are pretty accurate with the speed the players are playing out. But look at the clock, by the way. For Diak, it's only 8 seconds. I mean, this game is, it just basically started. It's already almost close to finish. Vincent has extra 20 seconds, which could be important.
I mean, this is incredible how fast the games are going. And Bogdan Daniel Diak is still in time trouble. He always is in classical, in rapid, in blitz. And here he's on the last seconds.
Knight a5, blundered. I mean, this is not what Vincent wanted.
Oh, my God.
B takes on a5, the rook on b8 is under attack. This is not what he wanted. Now, knight c6, rook b7. Not a tragedy, of course, but this is getting really unpleasant. But again, the clock.
Yeah, the clock situation is really important here. But
Queen e8 retreats back to the safety. He's thinking about b5, b4, b3. So I guess something like rook c6 makes sense.
Rook c6, b5. Queen b3 was played. c5, rook c5 idea.
Diak is playing literally on seconds. I mean, he has 1 second every single time he makes a move. At least if we can believe the official transmission.
Yeah, it's incredible. He's playing on the last second. This is.
But the pawn is protected. Winston is holding on. Actually, I like his position.
Knight on e4 is really nice, restricting many squares from the rook and the queen. Queen a2 trying to trade off.
There's a lot of shuffling of pieces here and there. I think this game can still go either way. So black, of course, is thinking about trading some pieces, push forward this b pawn. The position objectively remains equal. Queen a7 attacks the pawn on f7. White is taking over the game. Queen on b7 is so good now.
Knight d5 maybe, with idea to push b4. Okay, knight d5, knight c3, protecting. There is knight e7 checks.
Knight e7 check looks very unpleasant. White should be thinking about ADS e4, d5, create outside pass pawn. Not outside pass pawn, a central pawn, basically.
Central pawn, yes.
What about e4 here?
e4, d5 is a big threat. b4 is being played. Idea to trade the b4 pawn for e4.
But the clock, the clock, look at that.
God.
Diak already is making how many moves on the last final second? b3 played by Kamer. How do you stop this pawn?
Knight b5 is blocking everything. Knight on d3 is trying to stop the pawn. d5, 2 pawns are marching like there is just simply a race of 2 pawns. It's incredible.
Did Winston miss this? The pawn on b3 is under attack. He missed it. He drops the pawn.
He drops the pawn. King is just this is incredible. Diak is playing on the last seconds, but he's up a pawn right now.
Queen b5, he tries to activate the pieces. Knight c5 is impossible because of queen e2 check. Here the remaining grandmaster definitely becomes a favorite, but it's the clock. It's the clock, of course. You want to make a lot of easy moves, gain some time, at least plus 1 second per each move, and then think of a plan.
Yeah, for sure. And when he's playing the move, he's spending half a minute, half a second or 1 second for each move. So he's just gaining 1 second per each move he's playing.
This could be also, was it the first loss of this will be the first loss of Vincent Kamer if he loses this game? Because I don't think he lost a single game in the Rapid tournament. I cannot recall. In the Classical tournament, he is obviously the leader of the tournament. Okay, queens are traded.
Oh my God, this knight endgame looks very dangerous, right? So white cannot just protect, create the passer with e5 and...
a pawn is a pawn. I guess f4, f5 is a threat, threatening to win the pawn on h5. I would play f4, f5 right now. No, he is not going to do that. He wants to push e4, e5.
He's going for it, so trying before to activate the king as fast as possible to the center. Now f5 is played.
I think Winston missed
that's a trick. Oh my God.
That's a knight, knight f4 check.
That's
White
such
wins
a
the
nice...
pawn, he's going to win the game. Knight e5, the pawn on h5 is gone. With that, I think Diak is going to score the first victory. We have our first results here. As you can see, Kwang Liam has won his game, and also Navarra stands with 1 point.
We have a draw Basamin against Arjun Erigaisi, but this game is most likely going to finish with a victory for white.
It's just a technically winning position. King f4, g5, knight g4. Of course, you want to play it out. There's no need to rush.
Unless you lose on time.
Right. So knight c5 played. White definitely is going to play g5, king g4. All Diak needs to make sure he's not giving up these 2 pawns for the remaining knight, because that would mean it would be just a theoretical draw.
Yeah. And Vincent is playing it out because in the last seconds anything can happen, and of course the blunder can occur, so you never know what might have happened. But okay, technique is very good, and Diak also very good into in the time trouble, because he's there so often. He has such a good practice there.
I think Diak is easily going to win this. Knight e5, f6, g6, g7, put the knight on e7. This is game over. Nothing is going to change here. But of course, let's watch this game until the finish. Brilliant game by the remaining Grandmaster, and maybe this is the result that he was looking for after a rather mediocre results in the previous tournament so far here in Biel. King e7, that's it. No? Why not king e7, promote the pawn? But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay, I think it's wrong, but Diak wins the game, and I think we have to switch to another game. It's Jules Massar is still playing, as I can see. He's playing against Kwang Liam.
Oh no, the game already finished.
It just finished?
I'm
not getting any result.
No, here it's saying 1-0.
Right.
Here.
I'm not getting any result from my page. So, okay, no action, unfortunately, here. So, let's perhaps check what has happened in all of the games, right? I do believe we have some time.
Yeah, we have, I think, like 5 times before the next games are going to start. So this was David Navarro against Yuan Yi. So
right.
We know the result already. David Navarro won the game. Let's see how it happened.
It's a Catalan. He plays e4, sacrifices the pawn on c4. Knight a4, threatening to win the pawn on c3. Bishop c3, bishop b5, knight c5. Pretty interesting. Bishop d3, queen c1, knight e7, here.
Ooh, wow.
All right. Some complex battle here, but again, it's difficult to say if white is really enjoying the position, because black is simply up a pawn.
Yeah.
Bishop b5, a takes on b3, queen d4. Now Navarra is, I guess, was looking for equality, because he is down a pawn, down in the clock, and yet somehow he won the game. How exactly did this happen?
We are looking for
Rook c2, h5, bishop e3. There goes the pawn. Apparently it was missed by his opponent. Yuan Yi takes on e3, intermezzo check on e6, and white now is up a pawn, being down a pawn in the first place.
Yeah, and we have similar pawn structures we had in Diak against Keimer game, but with the rook and the bishop endgame.
Actually, indeed, it looks very similar, Angelika. So rook g8, bishop f7. Oh, that's the second pawn falling on g6.
Oh no.
Rook g6, bishop g1, try to put the mate on h2, g4, check here, g takes, nice resource. The bishop on g1 was under attack. Yeah, now, I mean, Navarra just basically took everything, and being down a pawn, he ended up being 4 pawns and won the game.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. Of course, Yuan Yi was better. Let's go quickly to the other game. We saw the result, but we haven't checked the game. So, Kwang Liam against Jules Moussard. Okay, we have Queen's Gambit. Okay.
Okay, this looks pretty standard. Yes. The Caspet structure. White usually is thinking about b4, a4, b5 here. Indeed, he played b4, a4. Again, you want to play simple systems in the Blitz time controls.
Remaneuvering the knight to f4.
Yeah, b5 is a very responsible move, because this keeps the knight on c4, but of course weakens the c5 square. So white is slowly maneuvering to the c5 square. Rook c1, a takes. I mean, it looks like a brilliant game from Kwang Liam. I'm not sure where Jules, where he misplayed his position. So white slowly increased his pressure. Rook a7, and then black just loses the queen.
Oh.
Yeah, queen c8, rook a8. The queen is gone.
Yeah, that's a quite nice game. So we have almost
just one more game.
Yeah, one more game. Arjun Erigaisi against Bassem Amin.
Right. And, okay. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Could you, Angelica, replay maybe the game?
Yes, yes. Okay, so we have here the d4, knight f6, c4. So the king's Indian, the Averbach variation. So c5 was played, h6, bishop e3.
All right, I'll continue.
Yeah, the
All right.
Averbach variation of king's Indian we had
All right.
with c5.
Yeah, b5, nice idea. Knight e4, queen a5 check, knight d2. Yeah, the trick here is knight c3, bishop c3, queen b5. Black, I guess, is pretty happy. So queen b5, knight e6. And white is up a pawn. No, not anymore. Okay, what is this? Pretty difficult to evaluate very quickly. Both sides are trying to play it aggressively. a3, rook d5, knight c4. This knight on a6 is definitely giving white some dreams for compensation. There goes the pawn on h6. Was this necessary, actually? Okay, so he tried to capture the bishop on h6. f4, g4, pretty sure that was a mistake at some point. And rook a8 check, rook d8. Quite difficult to tell who is even pressing here because white has an outside pass pawn, black does not. The pawn on c5 is blocked. f6, bishop h4. Now white dropped the pawn. It was a time scramble. Now black is up a pawn. And yet somehow it finished in a draw because white, I guess, yeah, white was simply too active and draws agreed.
Okay, and we have basically out of 4 games, we have 3 results. Quite a nice result we have here.
Right. So maybe let's check the overall rankings right now.
Yeah.
So let's go to this game and hope everything is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the players are arriving very soon. I think we need the board number 4, right?
It's,
The board
I think it's maybe I think I switched the camera. You're right.
number 4.
All right. Let's go to board number 4.
So yeah, quite nice games. I mean, it was incredible that Diak was playing basically in the last seconds for I don't know how many moves. I mean, minimum like 30 moves he was playing under like 3 seconds basically. It's just absolutely amazing.
And you can see David Navarro is on the board. His opponent has hidden from the camera, but we zoomed in so that you can see their body language is a bit better. There you go. I don't think they're going to play the Blitz game like this anyway. So being so far away from the board, they have 1 minute to gather the thoughts, think of the plan, and it's going to be given a green light.
You know, Artur, I'm just trying to imagine how does it feel like just yesterday they were playing the classical games and today they're already playing such a fast time control. How does it feel? You know, yesterday you were playing the moves slowly, you were writing down the moves, and today you have already like rushed so much. This is incredible.
All right. All right. So what do you think Navarro is going to play? Probably some tricky line?
Yeah, he told us yesterday that he will play some blitz. He will prepare some repertoire. I don't know what.
King's Gambit.
King's Gambit.
We expect nothing less from you. You gotta play King's Gambit. But of course, we don't really know for sure if his opponent is gonna do it. I mean, yesterday, jokingly, he showed a King's Gambit.
Diak showed, yes.
Diak showed?
Yes,
I thought
Diak
it was David.
No, David didn't show, but Diak showed that it's very good.
Oh my goodness, I thought it's David.
Yeah,
Either way, we expect King's Gambit, nothing less.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Maybe he followed his recommendation, who knows?
I mean, yeah, of course. You want to play something really simple. We are going to see what he's going to choose. You see the players, at least David is in good spirits. He's smiling. He enjoys this atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we have both players ready, they focused. Okay, the game's
Game starting. Knight of 3d5 is on the board.
Knight of 3d5, e4. Yeah, so we have Queen's Gambit declined. Knight c3 was played. Knight bd7 line. Okay, trade.
I think I've already seen this line to be played a couple of times in this tournament. Actually, it was yesterday Wang Lian played this with white against Arjun Rigaisi.
Yeah, h6. Trying to ask the bishop where it wants to go. Bishop h4, very typical. e3. Ah, no, queen c2 first. Okay.
There's this big debate as usual. I mean, black is dreaming about positioning his last square bishop on f5, and that's why white early plays queen c2, bishop d3 to make sure this never happens. There's always this big discussion whose plan is going to work, because white traditionally wants to play at a queen side. b4, a4, b5. Black plays exactly like this. Knight e4, trace the dark square bishops, and wants to unleash thunderstorm, so to speak, at a king side.
Yeah, the bishop wants to get out, and it's very interesting. Normally you take on e7, and David Navarre takes on e4. That's...
Yeah,
I didn't see this.
No, this actually, no, it has been played. The bishop takes on e4, forces black to take on h4. Otherwise, after d takes on e4, queen takes on e4 would be a problem, and the bishop on h4 would be under attack.
Yeah.
Bishop h7, nice trick. Dislaunching the king from the pawn on f7, which sometimes could be under attack. Think about ideas. The bishop retreats, knight f8, knight e5, and you're immediately threatening knight f7 with something.
So he decides to trade the bishop off the board, knight h4, queen h4, and retreats with the bishop. So now idea of knight f6 and knight g4 is somewhere in the air, some attack against the king.
Right.
It looks...
Probably black plays knight f6, I would imagine. Again, you need a plan. Not just one single move. You need an entire plan. Knight f6, knight g4. Perhaps Navarre is going to play rook a1, f3, e4. This very famous alternative idea. Of course, b4, a4, b5 is the classical idea. Try to create a weakness on c6. Perhaps f3, e4 is better, and he plays it.
But the question, what are you doing after knight g4?
h3.
But then you're going to have a weakness on g3 if you want to play for f3.
I can't argue.
Yeah.
You know, of course, knight g4 is the move, but h3 is basically the only legal move not to get mate in one. f3, nice played.
Okay, bishop d7 was played, so knight is still standing there on f6, f3, e4 is a big threat.
The traditional idea here for black is as soon as white plays f3, black wants to play c5 because white has committed to a weakness on e3. Instead, we see the trade of the queens.
Yeah, we see queen f2, the queens were being traded. King is slowly coming to the center because the position is approaching to the endgame.
You can see the players are taking really carefully, at least in this game. I would have expected that the first games, Angelica, will be fireworks. I mean, right now, you know, they're just trying out what's their form of today, because nobody knows. You start to play a couple of games, then you realize, okay, I'm playing so badly today, right? So you don't know. So they're going to start it slowly, and then I think this action is going to explode at some moment very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And c5 was played, so the trade is on c5, and now rook c8. Now the question for David, what is he doing with the pawn? I mean, I guess there is no way to protect it. So the question, if he wants to play something like knight b5, knight d4. I mean,
knight d2, knight d4, Angelica. Keep the knight, put it on d4. White has a very, very minor edge because of this knight on d4. Think about future ideas, knight d2, knight d4, g4, h4, g5. Try to create some weaknesses for black at the king side. Usually it's not enough because also black is doing something at the queen side.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that maybe instead of knight d2, maybe knight b5 is an idea, but you don't want to
wait,
give
you see the pawn on a7 is under attack.
Yes,
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. You're right. You're absolutely right. And knight b5 is played. Brilliant idea.
So now the question is what to do with the pawn. Maybe just take, because rook a8, yeah?
Just take, and knight goes back to d4 because knight a7 drops the knight. Rook a8, the knight on a7 is trapped. Knight e6 looks interesting. It could cause some issues for black. Not really sure, because knight e6 you have to calculate, for example, rook e6. What happens after rook e6? Do you take on f7? Rook e6, knight f7, king g8, knight e8, knight b7. The knight is dancing all over the board.
This looks very, very exciting. So I don't know what exactly to play. So rook f8 is safe for sure. After rook f8, there are no jumps with the rook.
Rook e7, of course. Rook e6 is on the board.
Rook e6 was played. So trying to trap that knight. He's taking.
Challenge accepted. Knight f7, knight e8, rook b6 is played. So black is now threatening rook b2 check. Maybe this is what Navarra missed because he thought that black is going to go after the knight on d8. Instead, black sacrifices the pawn and goes for a counterattack.
So there is an idea to play something like rook b1. It's a question if he's going to do it. But rook b1, rook c8.
On knight b7, I think he has to do it. The knight escapes. Otherwise, rook c8 is a big problem.
Yeah. So rook b1 was played. So here is a question. How do you try to hold that knight, or what are you doing with the rooks? Because rook c8 simply knight b7 is there,
or even trade
the
the knight b7. I'm not sure what's the right order of moves indeed. So I would think that Navarra is going to play, not Navarra, but like Wang Liam is going to play something like rook a5, king f8. That's a bit surprising. What about knight b7 here?
Yeah, knight b7 looks good because if you first trade the rooks, then maybe knight cannot really get out. But now, after knight b7, rook has to move, and there is opening the square on a5 for the knight. And it means that if white's knight escape, then white will simply be up a pawn. But rook c3 has been played.
Rook c3 attacks the bishop. Also, black is eyeing for the rook a3 idea. The bishop on d3 is under attack. I'm not sure. King e2 is a move. Bishop e2 looks risky because it allows black to play rook c2. I don't know. I mean, bishop e2, rook after d1, you have to calculate this quickly. But bishop e2 is played.
Bishop e2 is being played, not scared of being pinned there on the second rank. I would be scared. Rook c2, bishop, I mean, potentially bishop b5 could be there. Of course, not. I mean, actually, yeah. Like rook c2. Okay, king e7 first, trying to take the squares from the knight.
That's a nice idea. Otherwise, indeed, knight e6, rook takes and b6, knight b5 could be a problem. Here, the Vietnamese grandmaster is playing against white's knight on b7. I don't care that white has the extra pawn. It's difficult to play this position for Navarra because you see all kinds of ghosts, and you have to be very careful not to blunder the knight.
So there are ideas of playing a4, a5. Bishop b5 was played. Okay, I was looking at this, but rook c7.
Right, bishop a6. I think he's going to just... Oh, wait, it's not dropping the knight because the pawn on b6 is under attack. Wait, b5.
Knight a5, rook a7. Oh, my God.
And Navarra is down on the clock. I mean, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. You got to make a move.
a4. King g3. What about bishop c8?
Rook c6, and that's it. Your piece is gone. He blundered this. There's just no way to protect. You could see from the body language on Navarra, he panicked. He saw, okay, I'm losing a piece. What now? We see a lot of moves being played. I mean, black is having simply an extra piece. However, it's white who has 2 pawns. Navarra is still not yet lost. Gives away the pawn on a2 to keep the knight on the board. He might have pretty good practical chances to hold this because all the pawns are at the king side.
Yeah, exactly. You have to try to trade the pawns as fast as possible, but it's so hard. I mean, bishop and knight are just, basically stopping every push. But okay, Navarra is not resigning, obviously, and trying to play for it. Yeah.
Black is looking for ways to trade the knights. That's why knight e6 was played, of course. Navarra objects. He plays knight c6, knight b4 tries. It's a tricky piece. You need always to watch out for various forks, unexpected checks.
And while he's trying to jump with the knight, the king is already on e5, on d6. The king is just coming to the knight. King is protecting. Oh my God, this crazy game, but the two pieces are 2 pieces.
Knight c7 is a brilliant move. There's no move for white because now the knight on b4 had no escape move. Basically, he had to play what he played. f5 played very quickly. No, this is dead, lost. h5 could be just played. Knight c4 instead. The pawn on e3 drops. The pawn on g4, f5. Easy targets. I think the Vietnamese grandmaster is going to back this.
Yeah, that's...
King c3.
King c3, king...
I'm not really sure why black is not playing h5, but okay, there you go. The pawn is gone. Okay, we have to select another game, something we haven't yet seen.
Let's go quickly to see which game is still ongoing.
Which game?
This is finished. This is still ongoing.
So, Amin Basim against Daniel Bogdan-Biak. That's board number, which board is it?
2.
Board number 2. All right. The camera is slowly loading.
So we see...
We at least have the moves on the board.
We see both players are playing very fast. We know Daniel Diak has a big experience in it.
Right. Amin Basim played a draw in the first round. Diak scored a victory over Vincent Keimer. Very quickly looking at the position, what do we make of this? I mean, black is up a pawn. The knight on d6 is tricky. I easily see ideas like knight b7, knight c5. Or is it trapped, actually? How do you save this knight? I mean, king e7.
Oh my God. Reminds the knight of David Navarro, which was jumping over there and got tricked also.
No, it's lost.
Oh
I
my
mean, the knight
God.
is trapped. There's no way to escape it. You could see, I mean,
Ay, ay, ay.
here he realizes the Egyptian Grandmaster, King D7, perhaps the most accurate move. The only way to escape it is play Knight A8.
No, but knight A8, there is rook B8.
And that's a resignation. So Amin Bassem resigns. Black wins a piece, and that means that one more round is finished. I mean, this action goes forward so quickly. We can barely keep up.
It's incredible, and actually Vincent Keimer losing second game in a row. And as we see from the chat, that actually he had winning position, but he blundered the rook. So maybe Levy can check that game.
Which game once again?
Vincent Keimer. I mean, all games finished, so we can just quickly check other games.
Right. I think we have still good 9 minutes or so. We are going to keep a close eye, of course, on the board because we have the player cameras. We see when they're there. All right. So second loss for the overall leader. I told you, Angelica, of course. I mean, the Blitz tournament might change a lot of things in the overall rankings. So far, for the young German who is leading the tournament overall, it's not working well. But wait again, it's just 2 rounds.
Absolutely, just 2 rounds. And as David Navarro said, the Blitz tournament is very, very important. It's like 4 first rounds of the classical tournament. You can score the same amount of points. So here we see...
Wow. G5, very brave.
God.
I mean, Black basically says, I'm not afraid of your piece sacrifice on G5 because Knight G5, Bishop G5, especially in Blitz, this is something I wouldn't perhaps risk myself. Well, okay, Vincent remains true to his analysis. This is a very popular idea, Knight H7, H5, quite modern these days. Black goes very aggressive at a king side forward.
Yeah, very, very aggressive.
Yu just plays coolly, b takes an h6, h3, g3 takes, knight e3. Very difficult to understand what's going on because, I mean, of course, the pawn stands on h3, but Black has created some weaknesses, most notably the f5 square.
Yeah.
Knight e5, queen g7 takes, Black wins the pawn, but it's the activity that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And there are some potential pins on the king.
Super unclear. Both players were pressing hard for the victory. Knight e3, rook d1, takes. What? Oh, wait, that's just a trade. Okay, so Black took on e4, White took on d3. Black appears to be pressing, and he would love to trade the queens because he has the passed pawn. White said no. But look at the bishop on h2. I mean, how on earth did White win this? Bishop g1, even worse.
Oh my God. What's
So-
a bishop? Oh.
Keimer was pressing for the victory here. Queen d7. There's almost like a mate on h1.
Almost made, yeah.
Almost mate, but there's king f1. Rook g6 here, queen h1 here, rook takes on g3.
Oh my God.
Looks... Whoa, my goodness. He blundered the rook.
Oh my God. He saw the pawn
Wow.
has to take. Oh my God.
These kind of hallucinations only happen in Blitz. So Keimer played rook takes on g3. He thought he's winning the game right here. F takes on g3, queen g1, some rook h2 ideas. He just forgot. the one took his own
Incredible.
victory.
Yeah, that's how I told. That's very dynamic. There is going to be many blunders. We can see blunder of the rook in the other games. Players missing their pieces. Yes, we can look maybe again how it went in the game.
All right,
Of
c3,
course.
5. What do we have here?
King's Indian.
I think this is what Bassam already once played.
Yeah.
He played in the rapid tournament against Likwangli this particular line. Knight c7, knight c4, pretty easy plan usually for White. I know engines usually like these positions for Black. Here. All right, the Black plays pretty powerful chess. Okay,
Bishop
I mean,
C6. This is some deep idea.
I mean, it just wins the pawn on e5, but the
Yeah.
big question is, are you not making a very committal decision? And since White lost the game, I guess it was not the best choice. I guess we'll see. Oh, b takes on c6, unexpectedly. f6, b3, pretty tough to say who even has a better position here because, I mean, those bishops for Black didn't do much. There's a lot of maneuvering here and there, so, I mean, both players were struggling to find the progress, waiting for some kind of mistake from the opponent. Yeah, again, I think I've seen this position already 5 times. And there you go, finally the break, f4. So, I mean, he was pushing.
And then the knight somehow managed to get to the d6.
So that's how it happened.
Uh-huh.
So after knight e4, f5, maybe knight e4 is a mistake.
Maybe.
White played this fork on d6. It seems great, but he missed this queen f1 or maybe the entire sequence. The queens got traded, he loses the pawn, and on top of that, the knight on d6 is just lost.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe very quickly we can check the last game.
Right, the last game we didn't see, it was Jules Massard against Arjun Regaisi. I see. By the way, Regaisi is already sitting at the board. So
Yeah, he's going to play against David Navarro.
Dragon, Sicilian Dragon. Yeah, Blitz is the right time control to play this. Knight c4. All of this is pretty basic, pretty standard. Bishop g5, I guess, thinking about knight d5 ideas. Bishop h4, e6. Black says no knight d5 today. Knight e2, the pawn on d6 under attack. Bishop c6. So, okay, tough to say if the pawn on d6 was indeed under attack. White won a pawn and yet lost the game. Oh, knight e6, look at that. What a combination.
Knight e6. Takes.
It's just
so
bad.
now two bishops for the rook. Yeah.
Okay, so the idea was nice. I mean, f takes on e6, queen g6, bishop g7, queen e6, queen d6. You know, you take every
Yeah.
pawn. But yeah, I mean, black just says no. And two bishops, I guess, are too strong, no matter how many pawns you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So perhaps,
let's maybe.
yeah, let's check the current results. Games here. Do you have any suggestions?
Maybe we could check the. Maybe Bogdan Danieldiak, I think we already looked at. Maybe someone we haven't checked. Maybe
Arjun
Arjun guys. Yeah.
What about their
good
guys?
idea.
Let's do
Second
that.
board. It's
Yeah,
a second
that's
board.
the second board,
Yeah.
indeed. I think I actually have him on the camera right
Yeah.
here. So, of course, you can also at every given moment, you can see the current Blitz rankings in the small screen we have there. So that's why we are not going to look at them separately. The game starts.
Yeah, the game has begun. E4, E5. So we have the Italian game.
Unbelievable, right? You're playing Blitz opening, and yet your Blitz time control, you're playing Italian opening, right? I always thought that Italian opening is a bit boring, right? But then again, it's easy to play in Blitz.
Absolutely, and we're going to see. Maybe I don't know if it's too boring for Blitz.
Yeah, again, pretty much what we saw in the previous game of Winston Kammer, where he had this great game against his opponent. Again, g5, bravely played. This must be some kind of, common knowledge that White never sacrificed on g5. Again, I think I would be afraid to do this.
Yeah, but we see that the Czech Grandmaster is not afraid at all. I mean, we have seen quite some nice idea from him, not only in classical, but already some Blitz tournament. And actually, the chat is saying to us that last game he played, if you remember that position, there was bishop d3, actually, and we all missed that, and probably also David Navarro missed
What
it.
bishop d3?
After rook b6.
Which game? I already forgot. There's so many games.
When he blundered not blundered his knight was on b7.
I already don't remember the position. Okay, I already moved on.
Okay.
All right, King g7 played by Black. This is actually pretty interesting because when Black plays h6 g5, he not only gets rid of the spin on the h4 diagonal, he's thinking to go aggressive. Knight h7, this is amazing. This has become like a trend in the Italian game from the Black's perspective. He wants to play h5, h4, g4, perfect for Blitz. The downside, of course, is the weakened f5 square, and perhaps White can play d3, d4, and rip apart the center very, very fast.
The question is who is going to be faster, Black on the king side or White in the center? We are going to see that. So d4 is getting slowly ready, knight f1, very logical, remaneuvering the knight on e3.
Right, I think h5 could be played. A g4, knight h4 does make a lot of sense, so you would need the bishop on e7. No, f5 instead is played. All right.
F5 is played,
takes
bishop
an F5.
E5.
Now again, you need to look for some moves like d4, open the center. d4 allows black to play e4. There's a chance for some hostilities. I mean, white continue with d4, d5. Who knows, right? Because let's say d4, e4, knight goes back. There's d5 for black.
Yeah, absolutely. And now bishop g6 was played. And we see d4 on the board.
Yes, now that white has secured the d5 square, black can never control this pawn on e4 by playing, let's say here, e4. Pretty sure it's going to follow. e4, knight e2, and then d6, d5 is simply impossible. It's not enough defended. Although maybe he's going to take on d4, you know, e takes, and somehow try to activate the queen, the rook on a8, queen f6, rook e8. All of this makes sense. But then again, what the knight on h7 is doing?
Yeah, that's a huge question. Maybe later try to maneuver it back. I don't really
like
know.
this. I don't like this from Navarra. He wins a pawn, but at what cost? Your king is very weak, right? I mean, knight takes on d4, bishop takes on b7. I mean, this is definitely got to be a great position for the young Indian.
Yeah, indeed it is, and he's very happy, and he slightly has a few more seconds in time, 20 seconds up in time, but of course the time trouble is still ahead of us. Knight f6 is played, so trying to get that knight finally from h7. Bishop b1.
It's just a bad choice by David, right? I think he already regrets this because, again, maybe continuations like this you can play in when you have enough time and you can calculate all the details. But again, in Blitz, where you need to play simple chess, where the simple attack initiative is so important. Now, queen d3 could be very difficult to dodge. a4, a5, b4, you need to watch out for the knight on d4. I mean, for white, this is dream come true position.
Queen d3 could come any moment with some queen g6 ideas. So yeah, some checkmate, some battery on the king over there. Bishop c5, attacking the rook, okay, rook.
He activates the rook on b8,
d3.
rook d3.
Now the question, what are you doing with the knight from d4?
And again, you need to make these decisions very quickly because if the knight on d4 goes away, the f5 square for the white knight is critical. Wait, what about rook takes on d4 here? You have to calculate that very quickly. Rook d4, knight f5. Where does it lead? Or rook d4, queen c2, attacking queen g6, knight f5. I think Karjan is calculating this right now.
He's playing h4. Either he didn't see or didn't like something, but it looked something really, really great.
I mean,
but yeah, okay, maybe we don't know, yeah.
He plays like Nakamura. You know, I've had the chance to play against Hikaru Nakamura so many times online, and it's so difficult to adjust to him because you calculate 1, 2, 3 moves. As the candidate moves, he plays the 5th move. He always surprises you. And that's why I'm looking at our guys here. I'm looking at rook d4. I'm looking at knight f5. No, Arjus just plays h4. And it's so difficult to adjust to moves like this because you're just not expecting it.
He's just breaking basically the king's defense on the king's side. h4, there are only 2 pawns there, h6, g5. King is very lonely there. And once it's getting opened, there will be big, big problems.
Right, h6 on g5 was included, open h5 for the attack. b3, quiet move to keep control of the b2 square. Knight c2 could be a threat after that. Navarra is, of course, doing his best to hold on, but the position is still very unpleasant.
Yeah, very, very unpleasant. b3 pawn is now under attack. What will white do? Okay, white is protecting by knight c4, basically physically stopping the attack of the on the pawn.
But most importantly, rook takes on d4 is a big threat. So now Navarra could be calculating knight b3. No, knight h5. Wait a second. You have to calculate this very quickly. Rook d4, knight g3, f takes on g3, queen f2, check. So I guess white loses some material. But this is where the players who calculate so quickly, they can very quickly make these decisions. They're usually the best on Blitz because you have to do this quick calculation basically in seconds.
And the question is, what do you do? Maybe play something like queen g4 in case of knight g3, queen g3?
I don't know. You know, it's difficult to even to suggest. I don't want to play rook f1. Maybe queen g4, Angelique, indeed. Makes
Maybe
sense.
queen g4, but then pawn on b3 is hanging. And he's playing queen g4.
That's on the board. The pawn on b3 doesn't matter. What matters is the initiative. The players are below 1 minute. And I still believe this is going to be decided by the brutal attack. Knight g3, queen g3, or even rook g3 needs to be calculated, sacrificing the rook on e1.
Yeah, could be opportunity for sure. And rook I mean, I don't know, rook b3 is possible?
I mean, there's so many moves. I don't know what to play. I mean, you just basically try to guess. You have no time to calculate. Knight f5, activates the bishop on c5, threatening knight g3.
Bishop h2? But bishop h2, bishop f2, you have to calculate this. Oh my god.
Yeah, obviously there's all kinds of discovered attacks. Tough to say. Now it's Arjun who is thinking how to deal with this threat. Maybe it's actually not so bad.
And time is running, time is running. We were actually thinking that black is under attack, but it feels like that white is getting under the attack. So knight takes... What is
what
going
just happened?
on?
I mean, white just dropped the piece. Apparently, Navarra's counterattack was so good that white had no answer to that, that he's down a piece. The only chance he has now is this open H file.
So in case of rook h3, king g8.
Rook f5, nice trick. Queen g5, rook g5, bishop
Yes.
takes on f2. Nice trick found by the Czech grandmaster. Queen h5,
Queen h5
rejected.
check.
It can still end either way. I mean, the rook on b4 for black is out of the game. The pawn on f2 is under attack. I don't know who is better here. And Navarra, he blunders the queen.
Oh my God, what is
that's
going
it.
on? Oh my God.
And that's it. So Regaisi wins. I told you, I mean, it's all about the king's
incredible.
safety. So it doesn't matter how you play. I mean, it's difficult to play when your king is wide open.
This is quite incredible. Oh my God. First we saw like Arjun was attacking, then David. And okay, so let's see. Maybe quickly jump to the other game.
Like Wang Liam has won his game, nothing is happening.
And we still have the game of Bogdan Daniel Diag, of course, in the last seconds against Jules Moussard with an extra pawn there on the a4. And now the question is, rook a4, is it possible? I mean, it's
course, you
possible to
have to play
take
rook a4. Makes perfect
rook.
sense. I think this game is finished. Yeah, it's a
a
draw.
draw, okay.
It's a draw. We just don't have the result. And also the final game is a draw. Play between Winston Kammer. I'm sorry, what a draw. What I'm saying. I mean, Winston Kammer lost the
Oh
third
my
game.
God, the third game. Let's see what happened there.
All right. So really disastrous start for the tournament leader. I think he's about to lose his leadership in overall rankings because 3 losses in a row, or so to speak, no points for the leader. That's a bad sign.
That's indeed a bad sign. And yeah, here we have, of course, King's Indian defense. What else?
King h2, queen d2, some maneuvering. Again, all that matters is this temporary initiative. You can see that Kammer already is down on the clock 1 minute and 14 seconds after the opening. That's not great.
That's indeed not great at all. And
black sacrifices a piece of the 4. Nice. G takes, E takes. The bishop on e3 is trapped.
Queen c2, h5. What is going on?
Black is attacking, typically in the king side attack fashion.
Sacrifice.
Another sacrifice. I mean, where was this knight first? I think it was here.
First
Now-
sacrifice was not taken, now second time.
And now he does it again.
And now he takes.
Of course, I mean, you have to, otherwise it's the
Yeah.
exchange dropping.
Yeah.
F3, queen h4, bishop d4.
Oh
This is
my
looking
God,
great.
this looks very nasty. Oh, you cannot even take the knight because rook is hanging on Ivan. This is incredible.
Yeah, bishop takes, not only bishop takes on g1, but queen f2 check is a big threat. So Kammer defended against the first threat. There was nothing he could have done against the second threat. Bishop g1, you cannot take it because the rook on e1 is under attack. Queen g2, bishop h2. Black simply enjoys a very strong attack. And I guess, yeah, now white's position simply collapses. And black back the victory.
Incredible how fast players are scoring the points. Okay, let's see what happened in the other games. Bogdan Daniel Diak, we saw the ending. It was a draw, but let's see what happened in the game.
Catalan, this is already a combination that Jules Moussard played in the classical game against David Navarra. He got a draw pretty confidently, equalized the game.
94, okay, jump. C5, yeah, break in the center.
And again, no
Everything,
issues.
yeah.
No issues for the Frenchman. He knows this line. Apparently, he has done his homework. White perhaps enjoys a slightly better pawn structure, some chances to exploit these weakened pawns at the king side. But black has 2 bishops. No, he does not have them anymore. So it was about equal. With a strong bishop on g7. The queens were traded. Yeah, and this is how the players found a draw. Right? So there's a eternal attack. Black can always play rook takes an a4. Draw was agreed.
And one more game we haven't checked, Yang Yi against Lek Wang Liam.
Indeed.
We have Lek Wang Liam with 3 out of 3 in the Blitz tournament.
Yeah,
This is incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about the rankings a bit later. Let's check the game. Knight f5, queen f3 attacks the pawn on f5, bishop b3, g6, g4. Look at that. That's a nice idea. Now this opens the H file, king g2, rook h1, f3, knight e5. Okay, f3 idea is to prepare knight e4. g5, threatening bishop d5, knight f6. That's it?
It's happened. Yeah.
That's how you do it. That looks very easy, Angelique, you know. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know what happened.
again, look at this. Maybe I'm doing it all of this too fast. I apologize, dear viewers, right? I mean, we have so limited time between the rounds. Now, actually, I do believe we have some minutes. But again, now look at this. This knight h4, maybe Black's mistake was to keep the bishop at f5. He should have played bishop g6. So h3, a rather mysterious move to me. Take on f5, queen f3, attack the pawn on f5. You have to play knight b6, bishop retreats, g6, g4. You have to take. King g2 is so logical. Say no to the queen trade.
Yes.
Bishop d2, develop. Rook d1, okay. Bring every single piece in the game. And now knight e4 is such a powerful idea. And look at this. I mean, bishop c3 is bishop c3, right? You open the bishop here on this long diagonal.
So knight e5 was played, and now knight e4, g5, and the threat is very big, bishop d5 and knight f6.
Yeah, takes.
And this was happened.
So it was a nice intermezzo move. Bishop d5, knight f6. I guess king h8 is rook h1, and queen h7 is a mate. Although, by the way, where's the mate? I don't really see.
Maybe just take with the queen on h7 and then rook h1.
But there's queen f6. So it's not going to work. I don't know. Maybe, or maybe he went for this deliberately. He sacrificed the queen for a couple of pieces, but he was threatening to play rook h5. That was his idea. Maybe we discarded his chances too early. Now rook h5 looks like a big threat. 2 minor pieces for Blitz. This could be good.
Yeah, rook g1, creating a threat. So in case of rook h5, the rook will be hanging there.
That's right. So you're going to play rook h5. I mean, white simply plays queen h5. And now he traded because of queen h6 threat. Queen h6 threat is still there.
And queen against rook and the knight. Queen is just taking the
But it's still
pawns.
not very clear, is it? I mean, it's about material equality on the board.
Yeah, but the a5 pawn is very weak.
That's right. I think this is what decided the game. I mean, you take the pawn in a5, because if the pawn in a5 was holding, I could easily imagine black holding this. Queen a5, g5, f6, rook e7.
And the pawn are running.
That's how it happened. Nice. Look at that. Queen c7, queen f4, king a2, a6. And the king is in the so-called square. And the white pawn is running away from the black king. Beautiful.
Incredible game. So let's
Let's do that.
Let's do that. We see
they're
players
still
not yet there.
Still not here. So, yeah, maybe in the meantime, dear viewers, if you indeed you spot something exciting, in one of the games, please let us know, right? Because we are trying to follow the most important game in the round. we just can't guess. I mean, where this action is
Absolutely.
happening. If you see something crazy is happening, like, oh my goodness, somebody blundered the rook, we're going to switch.
Yeah, so we are going to follow for now the current leader of the Blitz section, the one player who is trying to overtake the current leader, overall ranking leader, Vincent Keimer. We are going to look at the game of the Lek Wang Liam Vietnamese Grandmaster. Previous year, he won the Rapid tournament. Previous year, he won the Who Grandmaster Triathlon. And this year, he's scoring his victories one after another in the Blitz
Do you think,
portion.
Angelica, did he have, or the players have some sort of a warm-up? Because I normally do. When I'm arriving for the Blitz tournament, it's very important I play these, I don't know, 3-4 games just to have the feeling. And very often it's like this. You arrive to the tournament, you play a couple of games, you lose them all. I mean, the sparring games, and then you start the tournament so well.
Yeah, this is really good to warm up before the absolutely game, because yesterday players played the classical portion, and now they're having to play the Blitz.
Yeah, so I don't know if somebody of them warmed up. Probably. We don't know what happened there, so it only would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I think we
Indeed.
have 4 minutes. What does it mean? I think this means that the previous game finished a bit earlier because there's a strict schedule, more or less, so that the players know when to arrive at the boards. Normally, it's for every single round, it's 20 minutes. So let's say the first game started at 2 p.m., the next game is 2 p.m. 20, and so on and so forth. And if I remember correctly, Angelica, you might correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was a very, very small break after round 5 and round 10.
Yeah, most likely there was like 5 minutes more break there. But also, important is that right now in the tournament hall played not only Grandmaster Triathlon Blitz, but also Open Blitz. So maybe it could also sometimes influence the scheduling of the Grandmaster Triathlon in case the game lasted longer. But normally in Blitz, everything finishes pretty quickly, and the games are not lasting so long.
Actually, that's a fair question. I'll have to ask this to the arbiters. Are they waiting for the Open Tournament to finish? I'm not really sure. Maybe they are. Because I think in the Open Tournament, Angelica, they have, 13 rounds, right? I think so. Because I was talking with Noel Studer here, one of the leading Swiss Grandmasters. He has arrived here just to play in this tournament. Maybe, I don't know, we could invite him here in the studio for a moment if he could. We'll see. But I think he said to me that they have 13 rounds, just 1 round less than in the GMT. Perhaps they're starting at the same time, right? It makes sense, not to disrupt anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because if someone is going to start earlier, it means the others are maybe not so quiet and everything. So, yeah. But the players are ready at the board. We are going to see the start of the game in a couple of minutes. We see that both players are trying to concentrate. I think Arjun is pretty happy how the tournament started right now, because he was in deep trouble in the classical portion. He also was not having such a great time in chess 960 and the rapid. So this is his chance today to score as much points as possible, as many points as possible, to try to get closer in the leaderboard.
Right, and I think I also completely forgot that I could show you the ranking. So this is ranking for, not ranking, but pairings for round number 1. But let me just show you very quickly. I think this is round number 4.
Okay, so here we have the pairings: Yuan Yi against Bassem Amin, Jules Moussard against Vincent Keimer, David Navarre against Bogdan Daniel Diak, and we're going to follow the game Lek Wang Liam against Arjun Erigaisi on the board 4.
Right, I think also it's going to be very interesting to follow Navarre against Daniel Bogdan Diak, one of the leaders, but I think let's jump back to the action because the games have already started.
Yeah, absolutely, and the game, we see already the first moves. Queen's Gambit declined. Exchange variation, bishop d5 as always, and bishop b4 was played.
And they played yesterday, right? They played
Yes,
yesterday
they
the
played
classical
yesterday,
game.
actually.
It's basically the same setup, clash of styles. This time something else was played. Let's not compare what exactly is different. Again, Carlsbad. Carlsbad structure is very popular for, not only accelerated time controls, for any time control, basically because of the easiness for one of the players to play out. But look at that, Angelica, 4.
Yeah, yesterday there was always this opportunity for they traded the bishop for a knight, and there was a push for c4, but it's a completely different position from yesterday. Now there is a pawn marching to the f5, queen g5.
It took Arjun and Rigaisi basically to wait 20 seconds to sacrifice a piece, right?
Oh my God.
He's not wasting time here. F takes on G6, Queen E3 is a check, Queen D3, whatever happens here, who knows?
Nekwan Gliam is thinking what to do. Queen F3 protecting the pawn on E3, still the threat to take the knight. There is knight H4 move attacking the queen.
Knight H4, Queen F2, you need to watch out for G3, King H1, the knight on H4 might be trapped. I'm not really sure, I mean the knight retreats, F5, F6 could be a threat.
Exactly, if in case of knight E7 there is F6, I think it's pretty strong. So now the question is if knight H4 is working.
It depends really, because I don't think that White's going to trade queens. Actually, after knight H4, Angelica, Queen G3 is also a move, right? You need to calculate that because you cannot trade the queens. Arjun is thinking this is not a good sign. You don't want to invest a lot of time for a blitz game.
And he's going for knight H4, Queen G3 is played, and the question is, what do you do here? G6 is a move, so the idea is after trade of the queens, there is going to be a retreat to the F5 square, and yeah, we are having Lekman Gliam deep in thought right now, what to do, to trade the queens or not, to trade the pawns on G6 or to go for maybe something like knight F3. So he's thinking here. F6 is also actually an idea, but maybe it's a little bit too much.
That's right. Again, some choices for White to make. You don't want to think too much. You want to play simple chess. Both players already have spent 1 minute. The game is pretty sharp. F takes to G6, knight G6 is on the board.
Exactly, that's what happens. The question here is, what do you play? You probably remove the queen, and he's doing it. Queen F2. Doesn't want to trade the queens, doesn't want to fix the pawn structure of the black on the king side.
But most importantly, I mean, black's king is weak, right? So you want to delay the queen trade and think about ideas like E4, open the position, rook E1, attach every single piece towards the black king, because ultimately what matters is the simple attack. And this is what drives the game of blitz.
What do you play? F5. Incredible. So he's saying, I don't care about my king safety. I'm going to push the pawn. I'm going to try to attack the king.
I mean, he simply stops E4, I guess. Okay, maybe he's aggressive. He wants to play stop E4 threat so that the position is more static. I like this choice, Angelica, because if black plays bishop D6, bishop D7, position the king on H7, rook G8, I can easily see Arjun taking over the game.
And knight D2 with the idea to maneuver the knight over to the king side. G3 is played, probably knight F4 is the next move which comes to mind, and it is played, of course. And yes, now H5, H4 is not a threat yet.
I think White is better, because if White managed to take the knight on G6, think about ideas like knight H4, grab the pawn on F5, and try to complicate matters. I'm not sure what here Arjun is supposed to do. I like his idea initially. Now that I see this very powerful idea, G3, knight F4, I'm not so sure.
Maybe something like king H7. I mean, is it possible to take later the king, the knight with the king, you know, to protect the pawn on F5, or is it simply too much? Now, knight H7 he's playing, he's not bringing the king.
I think he realized, Angelica, that this knight H4, which is now played on the board, it's too much for a threat. The pawn on F5 needs some protecting. King H8, just in case, remove the king, because king H7 would position the king on the same diagonal as White's bishop. White is pressing here. Le Quang Liem is unstoppable. He's marching forward to score another victory here. Of course, still too early.
Yeah, absolutely. And here is rook E2 played. Yeah, basically the knight are controlling the situation on the king side. We have two bishops for black, but they cannot really work because the pawns are blocking it. The position is blocking knight on the F4 and H4, perfectly securing the position on the king side.
That's right. Slow maneuverings now. King H8, King H1, Rook G8. You need to prepare for the final attack. Eric Geisy once again tries to trade the queens, which is denied. And there you go. There's the seek of the counterplay, because Angelica, if that D4 pawn is traded, I already see bishop C6, D5, D4, and the white queen on G2 and king on H1 stand exactly where they shouldn't be standing.
Yeah, exactly. And here's a question if C4 can happen, because if we compare to the first game, C4 in that game was not so good, but here C4, B5, B4, I see the pawns rolling and C4 is played.
A brilliant counterattack by Eric Geisy.
Bishop E2, Queen G5.
Yeah, it's so difficult to evaluate this because both players have their pros and cons. I mean, the knights on F4, H4 are beautiful for white, but then again, how do you crash through? Maybe knight F3, knight E5, but then again, after knight F3, black is going to play Queen F6.
Yeah, you would like to take the pawn on d5 to take the pawn, but the problem is that a diagonal is opening on the king, and after knight d5, there is knight d5 or bishop c6, so yeah, he's not doing it. Queen h3.
Also, I think it's fair to mention, we haven't really discussed this, Angelika. Maybe we're going to talk about this a bit when there's going to be a classical tournament resuming with round 5. But Eric Geis is looking for a good score here in Biel because he has a good run in the FIDE circuit. This new invention of FIDE trying to determine one place from selected tournaments all over the world for one spot in the candidates tournament. He's not leading the tournament, but perhaps winning a tournament here in Biel could back him a lot of points for the overall rankings.
Yeah, Lech van Gliem is attacking the queen, and look at the time. Lech van Gliem is 1 minute, and Arjun Erigaisiv is down to 20 seconds. And yeah, the question is if White can do something against
95.
that king.
95 is a big move. I mean, I think he's looking at this about
He
right
is playing 95.
95, bishop e5 takes. You're going to take on e5, queen takes on h6. It's going to be a problem. You got to play king h7.
And there is e6.
Knight h5. Wait, knight h5 is queen e5. You can't do that.
e6.
e6, bishop c6. What about your king on h1? Not very clear.
There will be always maybe some idea to play bishop f3, and he's doing it.
This
he's
game
blocking.
is a mess. It's a mess. I can't understand even what's happening here. Queen e5.
Oh my god, queen e5 is played, so now you cannot really jump with the knight. Knight d1 trying to attack that pawn.
The pawn on e3 is under attack. Can you take the pawn? Because rook e2, queen f3, the bishop is hanging. It's a free pawn. Can you take it? He takes it.
He takes it, and here, what can Vietnamese grandmaster play? He plays passively queen f1, protecting the rook. Now the question, rook e2, is it working?
I think Eric Geis is taking over the game because if you play d4, d3, I mean, that's it. This could be the end of the game. So here the Vietnamese grandmaster needs to do desperately something at the king side. Knight h5, knight f6, queen h3, go all in, so to speak, and try to change the course of the game.
Rook e5, pinning that pawn to the queen. Now pawn cannot go to d4, but the question is queen d6, and now the idea of d4 is basically unstoppable.
There you go, d4 check, king g1. Now White's attack is going nowhere. Black simply has an extra pawn, 2 passed pawns, queen f4. But then again, it's White who is thinking about this kingside attack. I mean, Arjun needs to be very careful not to miss something.
Yeah, he's watching out for the king over there. So far, there is nothing really happening there. And pawns are rolling. You have to be really careful. c3, c2. The pawns are just 2 moves till the promotion file. Queen d6 is being played. Rook a5 trying to...
Eric Geis is playing on seconds. I mean, he's basically playing every single move on seconds. He has no time to think.
Oh my god.
Okay, 7, rook d3.
Rook
The
d3.
queen. The queen is gone.
The queen is gone.
As Eric Rosden would say, oh no, my queen. But actually here the queen indeed is gone. So that's it. You are losing it, and he resigns.
And first loss for the Vietnamese grandmaster in the Blitz portion. So far, he had 3 wins in a row. So I think we still have some other games ongoing. Jules Mussard against Vincent Keimer.
Yeah, let's jump back to that game.
What is this endgame? 2 bishops against bishop and the knight and rook endgame. Ooh.
Oh, this is going to be fun because normally this should be a draw, of course. But, yeah, but it's the issues of the time. Okay, no, I think it's going to be a draw because the pawn on h4 now is dropping.
Yeah, and h4 pawn is dropping, and...
King e7, bishop g4, rook takes on h4. I'm sure we are going to see a draw. Draw is
yes,
great.
draw great. Let's jump if we see any other games still ongoing. Now, of course, David Navarre against Bogdan Daniel Diak. Bogdan Daniel Diak with the last seconds right now still playing. We have an exchange. We have a Diak with exchange up.
Yeah, the video, we even can't keep up, right? Because we switched the cameras. It's the old feed. Don't you worry. It's going to come back in a moment.
Yes, exactly. We're going to see. So it's g4. David Navarre is trying to build some kind of a fortress. It's really, really hard, but he's trying and should be winning, right?
Yeah, this looks to be winning because if the black king goes to c5, c4, b3, and it crashes through, this should be end of the game. That
should be end rook f5, some repetition to gain extra seconds on the clock, I guess. Rook e8 and okay, knight d3.
But then again, how do you crash through, Angelika? Because the knight on d3 very nicely holds everything together. Knight b4, are you sure you can do that? Because
this
king
is-
c5, king c4 was a threat.
Earlier, there was always knight d3 idea. When the rook was on f4, there was always knight d3 fork, and that's why it didn't work. But now knight d5 trying to block the diagonal, but king is marching towards a b2 pawn. What are we going to do here?
I think the pawn endgame was very close to winning, yet Black decided not to go there. There you go. Black finally crashes through. White's defenses are not holding, and I think this is going to be yet another loss for Navarra, who right now stands at only 1 point out of 3, and this looks like another loss. And another important victory would be for one of the tournament leaders, Daniel Bogdandiak.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we have him playing very, very technically, accurately, not losing a single pawn, just trying to grab that pawn on a3. Like, if you remember the first round, the end game against Vincent Keimer, how technical he was playing, even though he was playing on the last seconds. Yeah, and
Navarra resigns.
Navarra resigns. So let's see if we still have some game ongoing. I think it was the last game.
I think
Yeah, we
it was
have
the last one. It was a pretty long one.
Yeah, maybe we could check this game for how it was in the beginning
Let's do
very
that.
quickly.
Let's do that again. How many
Italian.
Italians are they going to play? It's just unbelievable.
Oh my God.
H3, D4, Bishop E3. Okay, here Diak finally played the H6, the move I thought we would have been seeing more in Blitz, because Bishop G5, Bishop H4, at least to my taste, is a bit risky for a Blitz game. D takes, takes, takes. It was rather peaceful. About symmetrical position, I would say balanced, typical Italian game. And Black was getting pretty aggressive with those queenside pawns. C5, C4, Bishop E6. A lot of maneuvers. Navarra was having some ambitions at this point. Knight H4 here. Oh, I think he blundered this. So here Navarra simply missed the idea. I think already Knight H4 is a mistake, because he missed the idea of Knight C5, and suddenly Knight E3 is an unstoppable move, because the Rook on D6, you see, is covered. I mean,
Yep.
the Rook on D6 is unprotected. Black wants to take it. That's why he sacrificed the exchange. And from here, it was the Romanian Grandmaster who was pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we see that sooner queens were traded.
And this is what we saw
this
already.
before this is always endgame. Incredible performance by the Romanian Grandmaster.
All right.
Okay.
Let's have a look at this game. Yu Yanyi playing against Amin Bassem. The Chinese Grandmaster finally won a game. Another Italian. Okay. You can't get enough of Italians here in this Blitz tournament. It's like a conspiracy, you know, they have agreed. Okay, listen, let's play Italian game all the rounds, right? No Najdorf, no nothing.
Yeah, first round d4 was played almost, I think, on all the boards. Now we have almost everyone playing Italian. This is incredible.
Yeah, I like these ideas. I once played a great game myself with white color here, although it was a classical game. White usually enjoys the space advantage at the queen side. D4, Bishop E3, takes, takes. D5 is the typical counterattack. Okay, A5, fixing a weakness on C5 square.
Okay, e5, break, trading the bishops.
Okay, I mean, look at that. So the position is changing so quickly, but you could already see that the Egyptian Grandmaster was really below the time. 12 seconds in a complicated position. This is not where you want to find yourself.
Rook d7, trade of the queens, and knight h5.
It's like computer-like chess from the Chinese Grandmaster. Really impressive, really impressive. He just felt this position nicely. Knight g5 here.
h3, trying to break the pawns.
Okay, there were some mistakes made, but in the end it was White who was having extra pawn. Yeah, and he won the same game.
Yeah, indeed. So quite a nice game by Yu Yangyi. Finally, the victory. Finally. So maybe we could check the other games as well.
All right.
Shul Musartas, another draw.
Let's check what happened here.
This is actually very interesting. We have altogether in tournament so far, in all 4 rounds, only 3 draws, and 2 of them were played by Shul Musart.
Rook E1, here H3, D3, something quiet. Okay, Vincent finally decided to change something. Play the Marshall, very popular system for black, especially in Blitz. You need this early initiative, and that's why white says no. Actually, you can take the pawn on E5. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just black who gets the easy game there.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, knight D2, so normally A4, trying to break those pawns. Knight comes to E4. We see the trade. Yeah, knight goes to C5, C3.
Okay, looks
Okay, some
about
trades happen.
balanced.
So now doubled pawns are there. And how do you protect on E4? Because bishop E4 there is...
White is
Ah, you
still
protect,
sort
actually,
of
yeah.
pressing, yeah, or maybe not. Very
Two
high quality game.
bishops. Yeah, very high quality. Even though it's blitz, almost no blunders made. The pawn was given, but probably I guess it was a plan. Wow, some tries from white were there to attack on the king.
So here white already started to take over the game.
To attack somehow, to create some mating threats. This is
going
crazy.
in circles. Every single piece goes in circles. Okay, it was so typical for Blitz, but the game in the end was agreed to a draw.
Okay, so we have one more game. I think we haven't checked yet. It is the...
Which was it? Navarre against Diak we saw, like Wang Liam against Regaisi. This, I think we were following, right? Did we miss some?
Yeah,
I think we saw.
We saw everything. We saw
everything because Navarre, we saw an Arjun Regaisi
yes, exactly.
against his opponent. We saw. So let's check the current rankings. I think the games are starting in something like 3-4 minutes. We do still have a little time.
And no, existing. Okay.
All right. Here, sorry about that. Here we have the results after 4 Blitz rounds. Vincent Keimer still keeping the lead.
Yeah, still keeping lead with 21.5 points, but we see that Lek Van Gliem, the Vietnamese Grandmaster, is climbing closer behind with 20 points. 3 important points coming in Blitz, 1 loss right now, but we will see what he's going to show us in the next games. David Navarre with 19.5 points so far. It's not going so good for him, the Blitz portion. He won the first game and then he lost the games afterwards. Yuan Yi with 15.5, scoring relatively good. He has 2 points for now. Basamin with 15 points, Jules Moussard with 13 points. And the ones player who are really happy about the Blitz event with 3.5 points, both Arjun Erigaisi and Bogdan Danieldiak, who was the last place, but this Blitz tournament can change everything.
All right. Let's once again continue. I believe 4 rounds already have been played, and let's check what are the rankings, what are the pairings for the round number 5. This was round 4.
And here we see Arjun Erigaisi against Yuan Yi, Bogdan Danieldiak against Lek Van Gliem, Vincent Keimer against David Navarre, and Bassem Amin against Jules Moussard. I think we're going to follow Vincent Keimer against David Navarre. What do you think, Artur? Those are one of the leaders of the overall rankings.
Absolutely. Let's do that. I mean, perhaps Vincent has already recovered after his dreadful start, having 0 out of 3. Actually, the games already are starting. Actually, according to my schedule, they should not be, but let's jump to the games.
Yeah, maybe they started slightly earlier.
That's interesting.
Okay, we're going to have the video update just in a couple of seconds.
English opening.
English opening, yeah.
D3 offbeat line. Essentially, this is a position Sicilian Nador scholars reversed. Keimer plays Nador with white, so to speak, enjoying an extra tempo. Knight E2. Yeah, so typically for the Najdorf, very often from the black's perspective, black gives away this control of the d4 square also for the Sicilian Sveshnikov, and then somehow tries to rely on the piece activity. So I can easily imagine Angelika here, while playing bishop g4, activating the bishop, g3, f4, indeed more like Sveshnikov, not Sicilian Najdorf.
Yeah, absolutely, and so now we see David Navarre thinking right now, taking some time. Of course, both players are ready for the game. We see the position players finally arrived here for our video. David Navarro is taking his time.
Too much, actually, if I dare to say, because again, 2 minutes on the clock. Keimer is more familiar with this position. Bishop c5 is played, control the d4 square.
And you know, both of them are doing not so well so far in Blitz. Vincent Keimer is just scoring half a point out of 4. We have David Navarro who scores only 1 point out of 4 games. So both players are having tough time facing each other right now. Maybe this win for one of the players can bring a boost to win other games as well.
Right, Queen e7 is played. Black is thinking about Rook d8, solidify the control of the center, also target the pawn on d3. Maybe this is the reason why the young German yet hasn't played Bishop g4, which is the common maneuver of the Sicilian Sveshnikov. Again, to remind you, in the Sicilian Sveshnikov, normally Black, with that color, plays Bishop g4, g3, f4. Keimer's thinking about his choices here.
Yeah, Keimer indeed is thinking how to play here. Really goes for this g3 idea to push, and he's playing knight b3. Knight b3 was played. Yeah.
All right, that's a bit surprising, but I guess he doesn't want to tolerate this knight on d4. There's nothing wrong with that. Queen b3, bishop b3, he forces Black to trade the bishops, f takes on e3, and now some dream scenario. White is thinking about activating the last square bishop. Perhaps queen c3, d4 could be a move. Perhaps bishop d1, bishop b3, we'll see.
At some moment, the double on of the rooks on the f-file can happen, and something like queen h5, idea to push even more on the pawn on f7. King is pinned, also f pawn cannot move, so that could be a potential weakness for Black.
Right. I think here, again, c6 looks pretty solid, but it's more important to have a clear plan also for Black. That's why these players are not just blitzing out every move they think of, they're thinking about the plan. So what Navarro is going to do here? Perhaps c7, c5, some sort of Marotsiban looks normal.
He plays c6. We have it on the board, indeed, as you were saying. Queen c3.
Yeah, I think Winston wants to play bishop d1, bishop b3. It seems that he has overcome the shock in the first 3 rounds. Perhaps he could tell us after the game in the post-game interview, or privately ask him, maybe he was just not warming up, right? Because this warm-up we talked about, Angelika, it's really, really important, because if you're coming with no games played and now you have to play a blitz game, it could be sometimes tough.
Absolutely, and bishop b3 is played, so trying to attack that pawn. Maybe at some moment king h8, and king h8 was played. Indeed, you want to remove that king from the diagonal, potentially to have some idea to play f6 to protect the f7 pawn.
Now the question is what Navarro is going to do. Is he going to be ambitious and play f5, or perhaps try to solidify the king's side with f6? If f6, Angelika happens, he needs to watch out for rook h3 at some point, queen e1, rook takes on h7, and potential queen h4 checkmate ideas, because this bishop on b3 is cutting off the Black king's escape to g8.
Yeah, that's a huge question for a Czech grandmaster in this position. He's trying to evaluate his options. His knight on d6 is standing there, ready for f5 push. And he's not yet making it. He's bringing the rook.
I guess he wants to have some clarity first, what White is going to do. I would say rook f1, of course, f6. Well, I think that here queen e1, queen e2, or rook h3 immediately looks very appealing for the young German.
Yeah, just recalling this puzzle rush idea to take on f7, queen h5 checkmate. So indeed, Navarro has to be really, really careful about this.
Anyone is on the board, but again, Navarro always can play h6,
course.
right? I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult to miss this.
Obviously, and knight f7 trying to relocate the knight somewhere to g5, probably, trying to attack that rook.
Also, he's attacking the pawn on d3, so White needs to answer how exactly he plans to defend this pawn. Queen e2, maybe bishop c4 might run into b5.
Yeah, b5, and then the bishop has to go back. Bishop c4. Impressively a little bit, I don't know.
I don't like that. I mean, this bishop c2 is very passive, but then again, I mean, it's temporarily. You could always activate the bishop. c5, are you sure, David? What about the future queen c3, bishop b3, bishop d5? Are you sure you didn't give up the d5 square for nothing?
Oh my god, feels like the bishop is coming just there, entering the position. But there are potential c4. Maybe that was a trick.
Yes, and that's why Keimer includes h4, so that he can play bishop b3, bishop d5. Was this missed by the Czech Grandmaster?
c4 is anyway played, and now knight e6, sacrificing a pawn. Now pawn on e4 is hanging. What will Vincent do? How to protect it? To play bishop c2, or what to play here?
The pawn on e4 is under attack. You don't want to blunder the fort. I think he intended this, Angelika. He did this on purpose. Perhaps he provoked his young opponent to play h4, bishop b3, so that he could have this idea of knight e6 and c4. Talk about the genius level of chess here.
Queen c2 protecting the e4 pawn could be a move, but there is rook c8 attacking the c pawn. He played bishop c2, so now we're going to see how he's going to take on c4.
Black, I think, is just already better here because he has the better pawn structure. I guess that Keimer should regret his choice to enter this, because I also was looking at this. It looked really good. However, it was the Czech Grandmaster who apparently tricked white, but the game is still not over.
Just because of this tactical idea of c4. Queen a5 is played, trying to attack the knight and maybe putting some pressure on a7. Trade of the rooks is happened on the board, and now
c3 makes sense. Maybe queen c5 activating the queen. Not sure. Queen c5 is on the board.
Queen c5 is on the board indeed. Look at that bishop on c2 is just standing there, looking at its pawn on e4. What are you going to do with it? How can you improve this piece? Because knight on b5 is fully dominating.
Bishop a4, Keimer tries to get rid of this annoying knight on b5. I think that also Navarra wants to include h6 at some point, not to forget the background issues. c3, queen d3, intermezzo move, attacking knight on b5. Now again the question is, Navarra, did you not miss this?
Queen c3 taking the queen. The question is, are going the queens to be traded? Or yes, queens are traded. Knight e4 attacking the c3 pawn. How do you protect it? He's just pushing c4. Knight is blockading on c5. What is this position?
I'm not sure about the c4. I was thinking about activating the rook first, but of course it's a passed pawn. You want to protect it. Bishop d5 and white. Now it's Keimer who is pressing here. He has the open b file. Rook b6, rook c6. He's taking over the game.
Yeah, now white and black both trying to activate the kings to bring the kings over there. The problem for black, the king is completely cut. So in order to join the king, he has to play something like f5, but bishop f3, attacking the pawn.
Also taking care of the king g4 threat, because Navarra was looking for a counterplay at the king side, trying to get to the pawn on h4. Very quickly we saw rook d3, rook a3. Wait, is the knight on c5 under attack? Yes, it is.
What is going on? He gave up the knight, e4.
I think white simply wins. That's what it is. Because Navarra apparently blundered something. He blundered the piece, king g3, although his kingside pawns could be pretty dangerous.
Wait a second, what is going on? He's taking the pawn.
c7, does Vincent equal g6 and f3 or promote the queen? This could be crazy. I mean, white promotes, black also very close to promote.
What is happening? In case of the check, there is not f4. King 2, check.
Okay, this is nuts.
This is crazy.
Okay, I think Keimer's going to win this. I mean, rook f1, there you go, position the rook on f1. Black is never promoting. Extra queen should be pretty important.
It's a checkmate on the board. We have first victory for Vincent Keimer, the current leader of the Grandmaster Triathlon, finally scoring his first meme. Let's move to...
Trying to find some live games. Perhaps Arjun or Geisa Yu Yunyi.
Are they still here at move 16? Looks
very difficult to believe, though, but that's the position I have here.
I think, no, they are already in deep in endgame. We don't have the...
No, I think we lost the transmission here.
Yeah, we lost the transmission, but okay, we can follow the position from the board. We can see that it's a rook endgame with... black having, if I'm not mistaken, 3 against 2, the pawn on f3 and the pawn on h4 for white, and the pawns h5, g6, f7 for black. Black is trying to activate, and Yu Yanggi, we can see that Yu Yanggi is pushing.
I'm trying to zoom in, but the camera is responding pretty slowly. Oh.
Will Indian Grandmaster hold this endgame? So check, we have, he's going here. Rook comes here, rook e5 protecting the check. Rook a8 back. Yanggi is trying.
Zoom as close as I can.
Oh my god, so many tricks. He's trying out. g5 is played. No, it looks like a.
I think
It
it's
does look like a draw.
I
Yeah.
think it's a rook king game. Wait, Angelica. The pawn on h5, pawn on f6. Does white have the pawn on f3?
Yeah,
I
they
think he
have.
does.
They have. Yes, there was like 3 against 2, and now the pawns are traded, and it looks like a draw right now.
I'm going to zoom in even closer because we have lost the feed from the board at least. We can't follow the action here. White has the pawn on f3, so it is the Chinese grandmaster who is still pressing.
Yeah, but it looks like it's not enough, right?
Everything in Blitz can happen.
Of course, in practice everything can happen, but okay, h4 was played. The idea is probably,
I think we are back.
yeah.
We are back. Let's again zoom out.
A rook f4, but
King g6.
aha, the idea is protect the pawn with a king and then take on f3. So f5, king g5.
Yeah, I guess. Rook d4, f5, king g5, king f4. I mean, probably they're going to get to a theoretical position at some point where black is giving up the pawn on h4, wins the pawn on f3, and then white needs to show this precise technique, giving these side checks. But again, in Blitz, everything can happen.
Everything can happen indeed, but we'll see the player trying.
Rook takes 4. Yeah, now this is a dead draw because rook f3, king g2, king h4, king f3. There's nothing to be done, and I think that Yu Yanyi tried his best, but this game is getting to a draw. No, he's going to try.
He's going to try. Probably in few more.
I mean, the trick here basically is this Philodor defense, right? You
Yeah.
wait until black pushes a4, then you play rook b8, textbook defense from the Indian grandmaster. Everybody basically knows this defense. Draw is agreed.
Draw is agreed indeed, and yeah, let's check maybe some other games how they played before the next round.
All games I think are finished.
Think.
Rigaisi, Yu Yanyi is a draw. I think we are going to get an update on the small results as quickly as possible. As you can see, like Wang Liam has currently 4 points on Blitz tournament. Let's talk about the rankings a bit later. Let's go through the games.
Yeah, so Bassa Amin against Jules Mussard. Let's start from the beginning. What happened? Knight f3. Oh,
The double fianchetto.
interesting.
Why not?
Double fianchetto.
Of course, I mean, he always plays the kings in an attack. He just loves these schemes. I share the love. I also like them. d4, d5, c4. White gained pretty sizable space advantage. Knight d4.
Trade happens.
Yeah, pretty difficult to evaluate this position now, but I think that white should be better because he has this very nice pressure at the c file. Although white's bishop on f3 presumably is worse than the knight on d7. Is it though?
Yeah, that's a question. Rook a7 trying to protect bishop g5, queen g5, and f5 break.
All right, so white won a pawn. So what happened here?
So rook entered 7th rank, already looks dangerous, but knight g4 missed.
That is so strange. What did happen here? He blundered, yeah? He blundered knight g4. He saw some ghosts. I'm not sure what he saw. I mean, maybe some, he saw e4, knight e5 idea. Black wants to win the pawn on d5 with a fork. And that's why he played bishop g2. He takes care of the e4 threat, but now he missed another threat, knight g4. So
this
unfortunate for white.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he retreats. Black takes over the game. White has to requalify as the defender, but the king is weak.
King is simply too weak, and e-pawn, well,
I think he lost on time.
yeah, probably lost on time here. Okay, so we have the Lek Wang. Okay, we are going. We saw this game.
Yeah, we saw this game. You're right.
Lek Wang
absolutely.
Liam against Bogdan Daniel Diak, scoring the victory. Very, very important one. Okay, so we have Queen's Gambit.
I'm
Some
not
Queen's
sure.
Gambit declined.
Oh,
some
now it's a Nimzo Indian or Queen's Gambit. Not sure what exactly. Now it's a Nimzo position with
Yeah.
some lost MP. Queen a1, rook c1. White is sometimes thinking about knight e5 ideas. Black is getting ambitious at the king side. Knight h4, knight e5, p5. That's strange. All right, I'm not going to argue. a4, f6. Why b5 is necessary? I don't understand. Knight g5, f4, knight e4, takes, queen b1. And black starts the kingside assault.
Trade, bishop g2. And d5, opening the bishop.
White tries to change the course of the game. Rook takes on c7, queen f2 check, takes, rook f7. Black calmly defends and says your long open diagonal gives nothing to you, and just collects the pawn on d5.
Yeah, after rook f1, queen e2, trying to offer the repetition, but
And white flagged.
probably flagged, yeah.
White flagged, of course, you see already more than one end of the game in a time travel. This game I don't think we saw from the beginning.
Yeah, Arjun, Rigaisi.
So, Angelica, we basically have two structures. It's Carlsbad or Italian game. We have nothing else, almost, right? I mean,
Yeah, okay,
every
we had
single
like some King's Indian, but okay, it was... Mostly we have indeed only Italian and Carlsbad, which is pretty strange, but okay. I mean, Bogdan Daniel Diak yesterday told that it's fun to play King's Gambit in Blitz, but we haven't seen anything like this so far. Maybe we'll see some fun openings soon.
Okay, all of this is typical stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, White is thinking about f3, e4, so he decided not to play it in the end. And then some composition simplified.
Yeah, the position simplified, and
Although Black was a
Yeah.
bit more active with the rook on the second rank.
so probably that's how that pawn on g2 was won. So there was a trade b4 and g2, and this position we already saw. From this we're following.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see if I can update the results you're seeing on the board. As you can see, Arjun Rigaisi in the Blitz tournament shares the lead in the small tournament, one of the tournaments of the triathlon, together with Lekwang Lien. Diak lost the first game, and let's finally perhaps check the overall standings.
And here we can see that current overall leader is still Vincent Keimer, because he just scored a victory against David Navarro. So he's 1.5 point ahead of Lech Wangliam, who is with 21 points. But we can see how much points he scored in Blitz, like 4 points currently reading it. David Navarro with 19.5 points so far, not doing so great in Blitz. Yu Yangyi with 2.5 in Blitz. Bassem Amin with 1.5. And we can see that Arjun Rigaisi, even though he had not such a great start of the Grandmaster Triathlon overall, currently he's sharing the first place in the Blitz with 4 points.
So we can also notice that Lekwang Liem is very serious about defending his title he won last year. Again, last year's winner of the triathlon, Lekwang Liem, makes his return here to Biel after his excellent success. And after this rather slow start, so to speak, Angelica, for Lekwang Liem, for the Vietnamese Grandmaster, he is making waves here in the Blitz tournament, 4 points out of 5. Before the Blitz tournament, he had a 4-point deficit. And right now, once again, looking at the overall rankings, if I may, here you see that Lekwang Liem is already on the 2nd place. And to remind you that every victory in the classical tournament, which is going to resume after the rest day, which is tomorrow, then on Monday, this means that he has a real chance to fight for the first place and take it away from Vincent Keimer.
Absolutely, and the next game is going to start in something like 15 minutes. So I think we could take a short break. What do you think?
15 minutes, it's confirmed, right?
Yes, at 15:45 we are going. 45 we are going to have a start. So
it's not 50, that's 7 minutes according to my calculation.
Wait. Okay, sorry.
That's 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Okay, let's indeed make a very short break, something like 5 minutes, right? Because we are not seeing a place in the action. We are going to make a break, keep the big camera for you so that you are seeing if the games either are starting. We're going to keep an eye on them. Don't go anywhere. Make some popcorn, take some refreshments. Be back to watch the action live from Biel. See you very soon. We're back, dear viewers. The Blitz tournament of the GMT festival here in Biel continues. 5 games have been played and the players are ready to start round 6 out of 14, or the so-called double round robin tournament of the festival. Angelika Volkova, I'm Artur Nations. We are your hosts for today. And I think it's time also for us to check what are the pairings for round number 6. So this is the round number 5 results, which finished, and the players had a very short break to recover, gather strength, take some refreshments. And this is round 6.
Yeah, and here we have Yu Yang against Jules Mussard, David Navarro against Bassam Amin, Lek Van Gliem against Vincent Keimer, Arjun Erigaise against Bogdan Daniel Diak. What do you think, Arturs? How is the overall ranking? We can see that Vincent Keimer is still in the lead, winning the previous game against David Navarro, which was very, very important, but 1.5 point after him, behind him is Lek Van Gliem, actually, who's scoring 4 points.
Let's jump into action. No time to look at that because the games already have started. They started precisely 50:45. So we are going to follow the game of this time. Perhaps let's select a game of Yu Yang against Jules Mussard. We haven't really seen them a lot of in action. Petrov is on the board.
Petrov is on the board, yeah. Knight C3 line, okay.
I wouldn't have expected that the players are going to play so safe in the Blitz tournament. Petrov, you have Italian game, you have Kaspa. They're taking really seriously.
They're taking Blitz indeed really seriously, but even though they're taking such serious openings, there are super many decisive results. There are just a few draws only played, like 4 or 5, and besides that, all games are decisive. So the idea of decisive round is very, very big prediction to finish the game. Yes, Bishop C4 is played.
The idea of the long castle is that white positions the king on the other side of the board, and his idea is somehow try to open the king side. He's thinking about various ideas like h5, h6, maybe knight g5, try to get to the black king, while at the same time the white king is feeling pretty secure at the queen side. And
a5 was played. Jules Mussard is ready to go for an attack against the king on the queen side. a4, 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 a3. Or idea b5, b4. Knight g5 immediately jumping in to the action to the king side.
I think it's a good choice for the Chinese grandmaster because, again, think about threats like queen d3 here, perhaps even queen d3 immediately. No, I think he's simply going to retreat with the knight and then prepare to play perhaps g4, g5, try to open the either h file or the g file and get to the black king.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not sacrificing the knight, obviously knight f3, preparing something like g4, g5. a3 blocking the pawn, so the pawn is not going further on the king-queen side.
Queen c6 is a defensive resource because black takes care of the threat of g2, g4. The knight on f3 is hanging. I guess white will have to play knight e4. Perhaps rook h3 could be very interesting because you want to double the rooks at the king side at some point anyway, and rook h3 is on the board.
Yeah, exactly how Artur is saying. Rook h3 is played. You want to double rook, you want to push the pawn, open that h file. You want to create an attack against the king there on the king side. Let's see what Jules is choosing. He's taking time to think. He doesn't like this doubling the rook, and he's going for knight c5.
Makes perfect sense. Black is thinking about knight e4, bishop f6 to activate the pieces. Think about perhaps b5, b4 could be the idea, and at the same time keeping a close eye what white is doing at the king side. I think that something like g4 has to be played right here. So of course Chinese grandmaster is gonna have a look at knight e4. Okay, that's interesting. I guess he wants to include f3 to make sure knight e4 doesn't happen.
Yeah, knight e4 attacking, intermediate move, attacking the queen. So now the question is where the queen of black goes. Queen d5 has been played, and now f3 is really an option to stop the knight from jumping to the e4.
Can I sacrifice the piece on h6? That's a big question. Bishop takes 6, g takes h6, queen h6, rook g3 look like very senior threats to me. But again, you have to calculate. I mean, bishop h6 is knight e4 intermezzo move. Queen f4, g takes, queen h6, bishop f8. Do you go there or you try to postpone it? He plays something else.
He plays something else, but I saw how Chinese grandmaster was looking in that direction. He was for sure calculating, but something was not yet working out. But now there are some threats of jumping with the knight, potentially. Bishop f6 is played. Okay, I guess jumps are not quite working yet. Knight b5 followed by queen c6.
I think g4. Either you play g4 right now or what you're doing here. g4, g5, you got to open the position, seek some targets. Perhaps the Chinese Grandmaster is looking at rook g3. No, instead he plays knight b5, completely other direction.
So knight b5, queen c6 is the only move. So now there is idea to play something like
c4? What about c4? Solidifying the control of the
c4 and then queen h5.
Maybe c4 is not
c4.
necessary, I'm not really sure, but I think you want to defend the knight on b5, also takes care of black's d6, d5 ideas. Queen c6, no, he goes back. Maybe he changed his mind.
Maybe he just wants to try to repeat one time. And now French champion has a choice to go back. So is it?
No, don't do this to us. Don't make a repetitions right
No,
here.
no, no.
I don't think this is going to happen.
Yu Yang is not going to do it. He sees the potential. He plays h5. He goes for it for a king side.
h5 makes sense. White is thinking about future ideas. g4, g5, perhaps after g4, put the knight on f5, knight e4. I already see angelic ideas for black, like c5, potentially at some point play bishop takes on c3. Of course, the queen on d5 is under attack, but the Frenchman is seeking his own counterplay.
Exactly, and knight is only 4. Already rook has to go back, but why exactly? Why does the rook
Sure,
go back?
not really sure. I guess he realized the rook on h3 doesn't really do much, and perhaps he doesn't want to reveal his setup just yet. Perhaps he's thinking about some ideas like queen b5, offer a queen trade, because this king set attack, it's not really perhaps working, at least Yu Yang thinks so. He is still entitled to play a positional chess here.
Maybe he wants to play queen g4, maybe with some idea to play f3, and rook on d1 was not protected. That's why he played rook h1 to protect the rook on d1. So in case of c5, knight can jump away safely.
Now the players are below 1 minute on the clock. So again, the clock is ticking. Tick-tock, tick-tock. You need to make a decision very quickly. Queen e5. I like this maneuver. He's trying to play c5, knight takes on c3, queen c3, and try to deliver a checkmate.
Yeah, absolutely. Both attacks are coming both sides right now. Basically, queen is creating pressure. And now, actually, Yang Yi is offering to trade the queens. Queens are off the board.
Okay, that's surprising. I would have
That's
thought that
huge.
black is going to play c5 instead. No, he changes his mind. He trades the queens.
That's huge surprise. Rook e7 is played, protecting the c7, and king c1 is on the board.
All right. Can I play here d5? Here, rook d5 could be impossible because I can play c6. I have a feeling that this knight on b5 has to be taken care of. d5 right now, I think it's a move.
I think actually black is starting to take over here after the queen trade. There are some dangerous ideas for black to push the pawns in the center.
Rook d7. Now Yu Yang is struggling to find a plan. c4, c6, knight d4 is played. Now black has a potential weakness on d6. Do you play d6, d5? No. Knight g3. Wow. Look at that. White drops the pawn on h5. But why black didn't take it? I guess knight x on h5 is g4. The knight on h5 would be trapped. Unbelievable.
But then there is still knight g3 back.
You know, I can't calculate so quickly. So this knight on g3 looks so weird. It can't be taken. All players ignore it because the bishop on e3 is under attack.
Yeah, knight h5 is taken because now g4, knight g3 comes back. There, it's not possible to take on g3 because bishop again is under attack.
I think black is taking over the game because if you can't play g4, knight jumps back to g3.
Oh my god, this is crazy knight. And now finally when he decides to take that knight to trade for the bishop, the question is he going to take the pawn on d6? He's doing it, rook d2.
Black is better. He has the better bishop. He has the better rook. Brilliant move. Rook f2 threading, doubling the rooks on the second rank. So here the Chinese Grandmaster is in great danger. Perhaps this is a chance for the reigning French champion to finally score an important victory here.
And here we have rook entering the second rank, offering the trade. Rook, of course, trade because otherwise c2 was unprotected. And now...
Okay,
We'll
Angelica, this is going to be a race. I mean, king h7, perhaps b4, a4, a5, a6. Black is going to do the same at the king side. This is usually the bread and butter of blitz chess.
Yeah, but the black is faster because the pawn already has no one to be stopped, and pawn is on h4, while white pawn is on a5.
Not so sure. I guess you're right. But again, I mean, white plays rook b1, g5, a6, g4, a7. You have to calculate that on seconds.
And here there is idea to play rook g3 and then h2, h1.
Again, rook b1 is always the idea, right? I protect the first rank. Difficult.
g4 is played.
Okay, I can't calculate. White promotes first?
Wait.
That was pretty interesting, right? So it was actually Black who looked to be promoting faster. Now Black plays Rook G1. He wants to promote his queen on H1. That's a crazy game.
You have to promote right now because if you take care of the bishop, there is going to be queen f3 taking care of h1. Queen h1, we see on the board, pawn is promoted to the queen.
I'm not sure. I think also rook takes on b1 made a lot of sense because then this pawn cannot be stopped. Or could it be? Not sure. I can't calculate so quickly. King f4. White already seeking for an escape. I think this is going to be perpetual check. Queen f7, queen f6. This should be a draw.
Yeah, this is a draw, agreed. I mean, such a crazy game with both sides attack. Let's jump into the next game. David Navarro against Bassem Amin, or...
Are they finished? I'm looking very quickly. No, everything is finished.
Everything is finished. Okay, so we have all games finished for now. Players set on the board. Maybe we could check how the games went.
Right.
Arjun Rigaisi against Bogdan Daniel Diak. Both are in the top in the Blitz tournament right now, but in our rankings actually at the bottom. Played a draw, and we have here.
The only problem is to follow all the games at the same time because there's 4 exciting Blitz games. In every single game there's action, so that's why when we finish a game we try to jump immediately, find the next game because we can always review those games, what were already played. Okay, this again looks pretty peaceful to me. I think that if there's one player really at the World Elite who excels in these positions, Angelica, that's Wesley. So I've seen him playing these lines really often. He knows the ins and outs of this setup. All right. Arjun Rigaisi also likes it, apparently.
Absolutely. A4, yeah.
Looks pretty peaceful to me again. E4, bishop c5.
Rook entering the second rank, but everything is protected. Knight is kicking off the rook.
And Black is already sort of taking over the game, but it's not enough.
Yeah, simply everything is protected and material is too limited to create something.
Yeah, now it was White who was
trying
having
to
some
push,
chances, right? Some Zugzwang ideas, and he won a pawn, but apparently it was not enough. Again, I'm very fast forward going through this game. And draws agreed.
And draws agreed. Okay, let's see some other game.
Perhaps like Wang Liem against Vincent Keimer. This game was also quite important, and I guess we also could have followed this game, but it's always tough to make a choice. 2 leaders of the tournament are facing against each other. It finished in a draw.
We have again Kasper structure, okay?
C1, Queen A3. And again, here the Vietnamese Grandmaster was looking for some payback, right? Because he suffered this loss in the round number 3 against Keimer, where the German star played a beautiful positional game, outplaying his opponent, got a great position out at the opening. So some payback was in order, but he didn't get it.
Yeah, indeed, he didn't get it, but was trying to push on the B file.
I like this. G4, looking to create some targets at the king side, while Black yet has not played a 5. Space advantage, G4, H4, King G2, King G3. This shows great skill of the players. But again, I mean, Black is super solid. There's one belief in the Carlsbad structures, Angelica, and I think it's a common knowledge among everybody who plays the Carlsbad, that is the knight belongs on D6 for Black, and the knight belongs on D3 for White. Why? Because it controls all of these squares around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And knight f8, knight e2, trying to maneuver the knights. White is protecting the pawn on a4, trying to attack.
So it was Keimer who was ambitious because he felt that White has run out of ideas and he was trying to find something. He declined the repetition. Still super unclear. He won a pawn finally? No, he did not.
Yeah. And rook endgame was agreed to a draw here.
High-class
repetition.
Game.
Yeah, indeed.
Really high-class game between 2 leaders, so there's a good reason why they're leaders.
And one more game. We have David Navarro against Bassem Amin scoring a victory. Yeah, and we have Roy Lopez, finally. something else.
Right. Once again, one more Raul Lopez in the tally of the Egyptian Grandmaster. He really likes it. He already played it twice in the classical tournament. Yesterday he played it against Jules Moussard, slightly different setup. And now he plays exactly the same line. Actually, this is a repeat of the classical game, right?
Yes.
I mean, is this principled? Because he's like, I believe in this setup. What we played in the classical tournament, round 2 or round 1?
Round two.
Round 2. It was an accident. I'm going to prove you it's good. So let's check what happened here. Knight g3, g6, bishop g5, h6, and again, Navarra played bishop c1. Look at that.
Absolutely incredible. And the d5 push was played now. The Egyptian Grandmaster did the homework at home and he prepared for this line.
Because this is what Navarra said in the post-game interview. You have to play d6, d5. That's the best move.
That's the most principled.
That's the choice that Black did not do in the classical game. This time he indeed, as Angelika said, did his homework and he played it. Knight e4, knight e4, bishop f4, g5 here, takes. And what do we have here? White won a pawn, but Black got the compensation.
Yeah, and
Rook b6, here, a3, a2. White is up a pawn, and now the question is who is faster?
yeah, the problem is that the pawn c is also coming, right? That's the only problem.
That's why. Bishop c5.
Wait a second.
Oh, now you have major problems to make the next move, actually.
But what about bishop b6? Ah, check. Bishop b6, rook a8, check. Oh my God.
That's a nice trick. I think, okay, they were in time trouble here, and after c4, bishop d4, c5, suddenly
Incredible.
this nice intermezzo move changed everything. Because rook takes on c5 is impossible because white promotes the piece, the pawn to the queens. Okay, I think we still have a couple of minutes. I hope they're not going to start to play the game early. So the final game we didn't yet see. This is the game we were following.
We were following. We
We're
checked
following
all the games.
Very guys, see this we saw. So let's check the current standings.
Yeah, and here we have Vincent Keimer still leading with 23 points. After him, Lech Van Gleem is 21.5. David Navarro is 20.5. Yu Yang is after him. And then we have Bassam in Jules Moussard. And Arjun Erigaisi with 4.5 points. Bogdan Danieldiak with 4 points. And Blitz, the players who are behind in the overall ranking, actually one of the leaders of the Blitz tournament.
So these are the results. I believe not yet updated. So let me just move on and show you round number 7, which we are about to see.
Yeah, we're going to have Bogdan Danieldiak facing Yu Yang, Vincent Keimer against Arjun Erigaisi, Bassam Win against Lech Van Gleem, and Jules Moussard against David Navarra. Yeah, we're going to face one of the game. We're going to follow one of the game of the leaders. I think we have Lech Van Gleem and Arjun Erigaisi with 4.5 points currently in the lead.
Pretty obvious the game we should follow. It's the overall leader, Vincent Keimer, playing against the Blitz leader, Arjun Erigaisi. That's the game we can't miss.
Absolutely, and they are the youngest participants actually from Grandmaster Triathlon. Vincent is 1 year or half a year, I don't know, younger than Arjun Erigaisi. Arjun is 19, Vincent is 18, but both of them are the youngest participants this year, Grandmaster Triathlon.
Look at what Vincent is playing here. He already has b4 played on the board. It's an interesting chord in the moves. It's some sort of an English opening. It is an English opening, but Black very aggressively plays at the king side with e5, f5, queen e8, queen h5. Now this is going to be sharp because, again, Black's idea is really simple. Queen h5, g5, f4, g4, f3, g3. Everything goes forward, and somehow there's a mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an idea of clash is basically why Black is attacking on the queen side, White is trying to create something on queen side. Let's see how it's going to follow. Bishop is getting opened, attacking the b7 square, something like c6 maybe could be followed, but then there is a b5 idea.
No, and Vincent remains cool, of course. He knows that this pawn assault at the king side usually doesn't mean much. And even if Black plays, let's say, again, this g5, f4, g4, it's not a big thing because essentially you can't checkmate me with the pawns. D6, D5, a very nice counter strike by the Indian Grandmaster, trying to gain space and, most importantly, close White's last pawn bishop on G2.
The question now what to do for White. Is there anything he can do? And he's trading on C6, and now the question if he takes on D5, and he does take on D5. We have a trade of the pawns there, and E5 strike.
He clearly knows this idea. I think he definitely has seen it before. Nice idea. So if Black is going to play here D5, D4, which probably is not very good, you have to calculate what happens after E takes on F5, attacking the bishop on E6, also the rook on A8. After a couple of captures on E4, let's say D takes F4, White simply gains D5 square as an outpost for the knight.
I think actually after D takes E4, D takes E4, F4, there is GF, and if EF, there is the
That's
E5
also a
push.
possibility. Yeah, that's also a possibility. I mean, if Black, of course, takes on F4, because he could not, of course, and also sacrifice. But let's just watch, right? I mean, here for Black, he needs to make this decision very, very quick because the clock is ticking.
He decides not to do anything. He keeps the pressure. Now Vincent has to think if there is any take, because currently Queen is protecting the pawn on D5 in case of, for example, E takes on F5, bishop takes, and pawn on D5 is taken care of.
E takes on D5 indeed is played, opening the bishop on G2. Maybe Black could already close the action on the king side. Knight C4 makes perfect sense. Again, wait, can you do that? Knight C4, Knight C6, capture on D5 twice, Knight B6, fork. Now the question is, what's the right way to play here? Knight C4, how do you deal with this actually? Because the pawn on E5 is under attack and also the fork. Knight E7 is the answer.
Knight E7 was played. So
it protects the pawn on E5 and also the fork. That's the big idea.
Yeah, that's a big idea.
Very nice defense. I guess White is still pushing rook E1. He marks the pawn on E5 as a potential weakness. Now Knight E5 is a big threat. Gamer is having advantage here.
Yeah, very logical, trying to push here on the E file. The question is for Black, how to get rid at the same time of this annoying pin on the H1, A8 diagonal, and also to protect the pawn. In case bishop tries to protect the pawn with bishop f6, there could be some jumps. He's pushing for e4.
I was looking at this, Angelika. I tried to calculate what happens there. The point is, if White takes on e4, there's knight c3, and the knight on c4 is under attack. I guess White should take knight takes on d5, bishop d5, followed by knight e3, then capture on e4. But the question is it enough? I don't know. It makes sense.
But look, starting getting also very interesting because Black is going to open this F file and maybe potentially some ideas on F2. But of course, Vincent is not.
I'm sorry,
taking,
I interrupted.
Yeah.
I mean, I was also looking at d takes on e4 because bishop c4, queen d7 was a move because the knight on d7 was under attack. But again, you have to make these decisions very, very quick. Can't decide not to.
And the players are down to 1.5 minutes on the clock. I see queen d2 is being played. Bishop is still there on b3.
I think that what Eric Geise would love to do here is somehow activate the knight on d7 because, for example, if he managed to play knight c5, knight e3, that's dream come scenario for the Indian superstar. So rook d8 makes perfect sense. Protect the knight on d7 and think about future jumps. Now the big question is what Keimer is going to do. Queen c3, bishop f6, is this good? I think he's calculating d takes on e4 right now.
I don't think actually there are many problems for Black right now, to be honest. I think somehow Black managed to sleep over there from this diagonal, from this bishop attack on a8 rook.
I can't tell really because d takes knight c5. Yeah, indeed, now we are here. What is this position? The critical evaluation is very important here. So knight e3, big threat. Perhaps Keimer already is ready to sacrifice the exchange. Queen a5. You have to calculate knight e3, bishop e4 ideas. You have to calculate all kinds of things. Knight e5 is played.
So he is stopping the idea of knight e3 by basically blacking the rook there. There are also some ideas of taking on e7 with a check. Queen c3 is also there. Many ideas, many moves. Bishop g5 is played.
How does he even find these moves? Because I was looking at something like knight takes on e4. Arjun is playing at a different level completely. He's like Nakamura, right? He's looking not at the first, second, third move. He's already instantly like looking for an unexpected choice. I can't help but feel, Angelika, this is some sort of a special training. Because, I mean, Nakamura, for example, if you talk about him, he's like a complete genius when it comes to being unpredictable. But Eric Geisy, I also can't guess his moves.
Absolutely, and we have actually Vincent with half a minute on the clock. Arjun is having almost a minute. Queen C3 take on E4 was played. Now Queen F2 is a huge threat, but the question is, what happens after Queen C5?
Queen C5, I guess just grab the knight on D5.
Grab
That's
the
what's
knight,
happening.
and that's what's happening. Now, where do you go with the queen? Queen b6 trying to take control over the f2 pawn still.
Also attack the bishop on b3. Bishop c4 could be on the board. Bishop takes on e4. I have a feeling that Eric Geisy needs to do something quick. So what about, wait, e3. E3 is looking really sharp. Wait a second.
God.
E3, bishop d5, bishop d5. Can you take actually this exchange? Sacrifice, go for initiative. No, he plays something else. Wait, what did he play? Rook d2.
D2. But E3 looked very, very interesting. And also like bishop d4. Okay, he's trying to protect.
Makes perfect sense, of course. F2 square is the most vulnerable square in black's possession. Now time to retreat. Bishop d5, rook f1. Now it's black who is pressing this rook on d2, bishop d5, bishop g5. Leave very good impression. If I was black, I would be looking for some breakthroughs. What about e3 here? I'm not sure if that works, and he has 20 seconds to figure it out.
Vincent Keimer has 11 seconds right now, with a little bit less time. But Arjun Erikaise so far is one of the leaders of the Blitz, and bishop f6 is played, asking the queen, where do you want to go? Queen rook c1.
I don't think he's happy to do this, because if Vincent is able to solidify his bishop on e3, and for some reason Eric Geisy did not take this bishop on e3, I think he simply missed. Very nice idea. Bishop e3, f takes on e3, and his back rank is weak. Now it's time, perhaps, for the young German to take over the game, because he has the better pawn structure, and most importantly, there is no attack for black.
And rook a3 was played. Rook a6 was not possible due to bishop c4. Rook b8 is played. What is happening after rook a6?
Nothing. I mean, you just take the pawn. I think he blundered. Rook d8, bishop d8. Keimer already is getting serious chances to play for the win. Bishop f1, king g2, a5, a6. I think he is going to do this.
Why not to play bishop c8?
We have no time.
Okay, we have no time.
There
There was bishop c8, bishop h3 idea. Okay, probably.
Keimer is down the last second. He was basically smashing the clock not to lose on time, because if you lose on time, that's it. The game finishes. There's no award for the second place finisher here in this game.
And we have two bishops against two bishops with three against three pawns. The black's pawn on e4 is weaker.
It's a draw.
That's a draw, great.
Nice game, really exciting game, as you would expect, between these two of the youngest players of the tournament. Let's try to find some more action here, perhaps. Daniel Bogdanbiak, he has lost his game against Yu Yanyi. We missed it. Le Quang Liem won another game.
Against Vasim Amin.
He's unstoppable,
okay. Let's see if this game is still played. Okay, we have Jules Moussard against David Navarro. Two pieces and a pawn against the rook. King. Oh my God! So taking the pawn on g3.
Wait, did White? No, White did not lose on time. Okay, this is going to be very, very exciting, because normally this should be a draw. But if White manages to win the pawn on f5, we could actually see how do the top players in the world checkmate with the knight and the bishop. It just does not get better than this, indeed. So
yeah, so we are going to see how is he converting.
I have a feeling he might have to.
Yeah, so he has to consider here if he goes back to g5, there is rook h1 check, king h6, and now rook back.
Oh, wait, there's just no way. There's just no way to do that. No? Is there? Knight g5 check, f5. I think Navarro, Angelica, is definitely going to keep this opportunity for him at some point. He doesn't have to give up the rook, of course, immediately. I mean, that's really nice. I mean, you don't get to see this a lot, and usually it brings a lot of excitement. Everybody knows it, more or less, how to checkmate with the knight and bishop. But when you're in a tournament situation and your clock is ticking, things are completely different.
Things are going crazy. I mean, this pawn so far cannot really promote to f4. As we saw, that Jules was trying, but there were always checks, rook g1, rook f1. And yeah, the question is if pieces can somehow consolidate together and start this march of the f-pawn.
Of course, there's this possibility this game could end abruptly with a blunder. Let's hope not. And I'm really curious where we're going to get to this moment. King e3, f5, f6, push the pawn forward. I'm not sure if this should be a win even. I think it should be a win, but then again, let's just watch.
Let's just watch and enjoy, because for now F5 push is not possible due to the check. Okay, check happened on the board. King G7. If F5. Oh, it was not. I thought there was
Yep.
F5, F6. Yeah, but okay,
Right.
doesn't matter. The time is running. Everyone is playing very, very fast.
I'm really curious how Navarro is going to treat the situation, because the tournament regulations require that if 50 moves, there's been no trade and no pawn push, you can fix a draw. I don't know how it happens in this tournament. I believe the arbiter is there counting the moves, but no matter, F4, F5 already is on the board. And the count starts anew.
Yeah, exactly. And pawn is getting pushed very, very far. Soon it's going to be even on F7.
I mean, giving up the rook for the pawn is the final resort. Navarro, of course, knows it's lost, but he's going to give his best. This pawn, Angelika, it's marching forward.
Oh my
No,
God,
that's a
he
draw.
blundered.
Jules Massard missed it.
Oh my
I think
God.
he rushed with his choice.
Yes.
This
He
was,
rushed with an F7.
this was so unnecessary, and the persistence of the Czech Grandmaster finally prevailed. He was able to save this very, very difficult game.
Yeah, incredible, incredible what we are having here
Right.
in Blitz. Oh my
How
God.
much time do we have until the next round, if I could check?
I think we're going to start at 16:25.
16:25, so we should have about 10 minutes. So let's use this time to review the games. Again, another round of craziness. Perhaps let's see this particular game of Jules Massard against David Navarro. What happened in the opening phase?
Okay, we have.
Looks double-edged, so to speak. I mean, black is playing in the style of the Grandfeld. White is having some space advantage, a possibility to take the center. Takes here. Black decided to counterattack. At least visually, I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is actually a very nice sequence. So black played knight e4. I'm not sure he intended this. Clearly threatening with knight f3, knight e2, threats like that. So here, Jules sacrificed an exchange, then played rook d2 because the bishop on d5 is ganking. However, now this leads to a forced sequence, because after bishop d5, takes, rook d2, rook takes on a3. If somebody's playing this for the win, it should be black, because he has two passed pawns at a queen side. So I wonder what happened.
And e3, b5, c5 was played. Oh my God. King is coming over there. Rook a3 was played. Bishop d5.
Somehow the pawns were not
Yeah.
rolling forward. He
That
lost
is
control.
interesting, yeah. For sure was trying to play for a win, but now
Brilliant,
There is
brilliant
no-
defense by the
yeah.
Frenchman, and starting from this moment, he was pushing. Now he won another pawn, and it still was not enough. He didn't win this. Oh wait, this is where we go.
this we were got to this position, yeah.
Wait, but where's the extra pawn? I mean, he had an extra pawn.
I mean, he's now has an extra pawn also, yeah.
It's difficult. Wait, but you can always play bishop e2. Why not bishop e2? It's strange. Very strange decision. King e1. I think he simply blundered rook g2. I mean, there's no need to do that. But again, it's blitz. I mean, in blitz, I mean, you commit all kinds of blunders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check here. Yeah, and he simply dropped the pawn for no good reason. Then he won the pawn in the 5 anyway. But the game was drawn. Crazy.
Yeah, it was indeed crazy. And yeah, let's see what happened in the game. Basmamin against Le Quangliam.
Another day, another round, another Italian game. I'm going to ask to the winner after the game, in the post-game interview, what is with your love to the Italian game? I mean, there's some kind of a common knowledge that everybody's like inspired to play the Italian game today.
It's incredible. I don't know why, but okay. We're going to see. So trade. E5 is pushed. Okay. This looks like very pleasant position for white.
It's quite sharp. Usually black doesn't do this. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot of time to go there, because I have a feeling they're going to start the games earlier. So, Le Quangliam played king f7, and that is cool. Everything is cool. Queen g5. attacked it on G2. I just collected the rook. So look
Wait,
at this.
something happened.
Here, bishop h2. I think he cold-blooded calculated this. Knight f4 fork. King f7, the rook on h5 is hanging, rook h6, queen g5.
So maybe rook e5 had to be played here.
I guess so.
Rook e5 and...
Yeah, but rook e5, rook h8, your queen is trapped.
No, but queen trapped?
where?
Oh my god.
That's the point, right? I mean, you know where to go. So it was a
Okay.
crazy sequence. I mean, genius level. All right, he just took the queen with the queen, the rook, and won the game. So again, let's check once more the overall rankings because the games are starting. So here you see Vincent Kammer still leads the tournament with 23.5 points, followed by Kwang Liem, and David Navarra is shortly behind him.
Absolutely. And here we have already the games about to start. Let's jump into the action.
I think they have adjusted the schedule, right? Because we were supposed to start in 5 minutes. They're starting earlier. Maybe the players voted it. I don't really know.
Maybe the idea is if they can start earlier, then they are doing it. And we see knight f3, d5, e3 is on the board. And
this is actually the second round robin, right? Because the players have made already their first so-called round robin. This is a double round robin tournament. Everyone faces the same player twice. First they do it once, then they do it second time. And here Kammer this time is properly warmed up.
For sure, and he actually prepared something for the Blitz because we see that the second, Bogdan Daniel Diak was slightly surprised. He tried to think what he's going to play. He plays for d4 push. I mean, it's very principle, right, against this e3 idea, and castle is played. So now the question is, you play bishop b7. Okay, trade on the d4.
I think we are going to get some sort of a Benoni structure here. E takes, C takes.
Maybe
Knight
some
h3, maybe c4
C4,
later.
d3, yeah.
This usually brings a lot of excitement on the board.
Absolutely, that's pretty much possible. So now the question is, what do you do? Rook b8. So here.
He wants to play b5. You cannot play b5 immediately because White's bishop on g2 would be attacking with the extra attack of the bishop, the knight on c6 and the rook on a8. So how do you deal with b5 threat?
Yeah, that's a huge question, yeah. How do you deal with it? Maybe play c4, but c4, b5 is still there.
Actually, c4, I think it makes sense because how do you play? I mean, knight c4, black plays b5 anyway, and now you go back. And Vincent is in the think tank. He's thinking about what to do.
He doesn't have too big think tank because it's a Blitz. He cannot think for too long.
But yeah, I mean, that's the skill, right, of very good players. You need to know precisely when to stop because you can't blitz out every game. You need to stop at critical moments, make the choice very quickly, calculate some things, and then make the right choice. And there's not so many people who can do it quickly and precisely.
Absolutely, but here we are having our top players who are afterwards going to play in the World Cup. Actually, the Blitz is also very important for tie breaks later. It's very important also in the World Cup, right? And we have many players who are very, very good at Blitz. We have Yuan Yi, we have Bogdan Daniel Diak, who was winning every game. Kwang Liem is also crushing. Vincent Kammer is starting to get more and more points.
Big choice for Diak. Take on c3. You continue with knight f6 or maybe even knight h6. First, you have to answer yourself. Do you want to take on c3? Because d takes on c3. This bishop on b2 is slightly out of the game. Or you play this Benoni-like structure. So I guess you want to invest something like 30 seconds because this is a big decision which might shape the outlook of this game in the moves to come.
Knight h6 was played, so he's ready to castle ideas to play something like knight f5, supporting the pawn later in the game. He doesn't want to block his bishop on g7, and here we are.
Knight c2 is impossible here because d4, d3 would drop a piece most likely. So I think that what Kammer is going to do, he's going to play d3. d3 first, make sure, fix the pawn on d4. Then the typical idea for White is either knight c2, b4, a4, b5, try to be creative at a queen side, or think about c5, knight c4. Now that's why here Black is probably not going to rush e5, because e5 allows White to play c5, knight c4, and jump with the knight on the beautiful d6 square.
Yeah, the question is what do you do with this? Okay, he's pushing for b5. Okay, my question was answered. I was just curious if normally, in this pawn structure, knight goes to d7, c5, but we have knight on h6. Knight cannot get there to c5 to this beautiful square, but queen d2 is played. Okay, so the question is
Knight f5, most likely. The knight on h6 is not doing much. Maybe e5 is a possibility. Don't really know. Perhaps the reason why the remaining grams to put the knight on h6 is something like e5, f5, knight g4, e4. So what is exactly the knight doing f5? We don't know, but Diak chooses it.
Yeah, Diak is going for knight f5, supporting the pawn on d4, and maybe has some other ideas like playing knight d6 maybe, potentially, and pushing the pawns.
Or maybe he's just returning the ball, like in tennis, right? I mean, there's no decisive blow, no winner. He just plays knight f5. It's a good move. It's not a blunder. And just see what happens. h4, Winston tries to create some weaknesses at the king side. The answer is h6.
The idea is after h5 to meet it with a g5 idea, rook a to c1. Now the threat is to take on b5. How are you going to react? Bishop b7 drops the pawn on b5. Bishop d7 is played. Okay, now
I don't like the time management, Angelika, of black, because you have this crazy position with just 22 seconds on the board. Vincent has extra minute, a lot of to think about. I would definitely choose white here.
But Arthur's recall that Bogdan Daniel Diak is playing. He always in time trouble. He knows how to deal with it. But indeed, 1 minute is a huge, huge advantage.
There you go. h5, g takes on h5, and not g5. He says, that's a pawn. I'm going to take it. Also, black is thinking about ideas h5, h4. Give up the pawn. And at the same time, ruin white's kingside safety.
The trade on b5 has happened, and indeed h4 somewhere in the air. So rook. Wow, rook c5 is played.
Nice move, activating the rook, trying to win a pawn on b5. I guess black is going to play b4. b4, and what happens? b4, knight c4. I don't think I've seen something like this before. What exactly is the white rook doing on c5?
Wow, yeah, indeed. What is it doing? Maybe some knight e5 idea to jump over there, and then rook can be placed there. Yeah, rook knight e5 seems like a move, right?
I mean, there's all kinds of craziness. I'm not sure. Queen f4 I want to include at some point and make sure my rook is not hanging on c5. Queen f4 is on the board, of course. He's thinking about the ideas like knight e6 perhaps, knight e7. I just can't keep up. I mean, the situation in this game is changing so quickly.
Absolutely, and knight e7 right now. Knight wants to go to the g6 to kick that queen over there from the king side.
What about knight e5, knight g3, knight c3? My apologies.
Yeah.
That's a juicy square on c3. I mean, the knight would stand there beautifully. Knight e4. Keimer saw a pawn, he took a pawn.
He took a pawn, knight g6 was played. Trade on d4, bishop takes. Now the question is what to do. Trade of the bishops, bishop b5. Everyone is playing quickly. Diak is down 3 seconds. Vincent Keimer has 20 seconds, slightly more time.
The official time shows the black flagged. I don't think that, no, he flagged. Wow.
He flagged.
I saw he didn't flag. He indeed flagged because it showed zeros. So there you go. There's the answer about time management. It is very, very important. And I think that Diak simply spent too much time, but we are going to talk about this game a bit later. Let's find another game.
Let's see if any game is still ongoing. Let's just move around. This is the finished game
the leader
already.
Is down.
Let's look. Maybe some other game is being played now.
Yeah, the leader is down. This is the game number 1.
Yu Yangyi against David Navarro is still going on. We see the pawn over there on g7, ready to be promoted any moment.
I think white is simply winning this because he's at any point ready to promote the g-pawn, g8 queen. The black pawn on b4 is going nowhere, so that's why black tries to play b5, close the bishop, but this Sevko should be winning.
Now the idea is b3, b2, b1. The knight takes care of the bear.
The camera unfortunately is stuck. We are seeing the old feed. We are going to get there in a moment.
So knight e6 is being played, attacking the bishop. So now the question, where do you go? Bishop e3 was played.
It's still tricky, you know, if you play g8 queen, black gives up the rook, plays b3, b2, bishop c1.
No, what about knight f8? And it was played knight f8. Yeah.
I simply didn't see that.
But now, yeah, it's not good. Knight e4.
Extra queen should be important, and that's the resignation on the board.
Yu Yangyi winning the game. We have still game ongoing. One more game. We are ready to catch. We are in time to catch one more game. It's incredible.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Ordinary guys, they playing with black against Amin Bassem. Bassem lost the previous game. Here, black is threatening rook h2 checkmate on the board, and I think white just either resigned or flagged. That looks like flagging here, to be honest. Unfortunately, we didn't see the camera. It was still trying to turn on. All right.
Let's check maybe briefly the games. How did it went? Yeah, we can start with this game.
Let's start. So again, I do believe we have something like at least 6 minutes, right? Because they have, I think they have changed the schedule. They're starting a bit earlier than we are seeing the official schedule. But what is important is that the Blitz leader, Lekwang Liam, finally lost the game. I mean, at least it shows he's a human being, right? He can be stopped because he was cruising through the first round of this first round robin between the 8 players. He got 5.5 points out of 7. Absolutely incredible result at this level.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely incredible, especially considering the fact he was not playing classical or OTB games in 1 year. So we have here E5 push, we have the King's Indian attack. Obviously, that's what Basamin is going for. E5 is played.
That's right. So again, it's a theoretical dispute because remember in the classical tournament, Bassem won. There you guys in a very nice King's Indian attack. And now it appears that Eric Geisy took his revenge and played this time the more principled line. A3, B3, C4.
C4 break, wow.
I think usually black plays B4, knight A7, knight B5. Okay, C4, D4, knight B4.
It looks...
Okay, it doesn't look right if you ask me, because, yeah, indeed, queen d2. I mean, white's idea is usually very simple. Knight g4 somewhere, knight f6, and there's a mate on the board.
Closing everything on the queen side.
How did you not win this game? I mean, this looks so good for white.
Maybe flag, who knows?
I think there was more than that. So
we saw almost a checkmate, yeah.
Yeah. So white won a pawn, declined the queen trade. Now you just need to land the knight on c5. There you go. There's the knight on c5. This is a big miss for...
What happened?
What?
Wait, the rook was just...
Oh, dear. He blundered queen c4. Look at that. He took the pawn on h7. He blundered queen c4. And queen c4, I guess, is... Either of the pawns takes rook h8 and take on b3. This is so unnecessary. The pawn on h7 is not really important. Just play knight c5 in a heartbeat. It would have been a different completely game. The knight on c5 stands beautifully. I don't know what happened here. He spent like 12 seconds on this move.
Huge blunder. I don't know what happened. Oh my God.
No, he just gave up the rook. I mean, he must be disgusted with himself by simply throwing away the game. Now, wait, what?
Oh my God.
This is one of the most spectacular moves I have seen. I mean, king h1, queen f1, king h2, rook h8 is made on the board.
God.
Look at that.
Incredible.
Insane action.
Indeed insane. And here we have Jules Moussard against Lekwang Liam. One of the leaders, we have Roy Lopez.
Roy Lopez, Italian. This is rock and rolling today. Super popular choice. Wow, this is already getting really sharp, despite the fact that the opening is rather peaceful.
Indeed.
Okay, I'm not sure what to make of this. I mean, white has some sort of initiative. He's down a pawn. Again, this early initiative is really important.
Absolutely, yeah.
Knight e5, rook f6, nice shot. Knight f6, queen a8.
It what happened, queen c8.
Oh, he just played a brilliant game, you know. He sacrificed his pawn and then just went on to just play excellent game. Yeah, knight f5, mate on a e7. Beautiful game, stopping the leader. This is how it should be played.
Incredible game, incredible chess by the French champion. We have Vincent Keimer.
Yeah, this game
we are following.
This game we saw, like Jules Moussard we saw, and finally David Navarro, Yu Yanyi. We did not see the beginning, but I don't think we have the time to check that. So let's check the current overall rankings.
So we have still Vincent Keimer leading the overall rankings with 24.5 points. After him, with 2 points behind, is Lek Van Gliem trying to calmly come behind him. David Navarro is 21 points. We have Yu Yang afterwards, Jules Moussard, Basamin, and Arjun Erigaisi is the current leader of the Blitz section. Bogdan Dalediak is with 4 points in Blitz as well.
I think it also makes perfect sense that we are going to follow the Blitz tournament leaders game. So let's try to find it. Board number 3, right? I think we are on it right now, and we should be able to see the player in action. So, yeah, brilliant, brilliant play so far by the young Indian. He's looking for some redemption for this rather disappointing performance he is showing so far in the GMT Classical. He had a rather mediocre rapid tournament, also just 960. You couldn't help but feel that the Indian superstar is out of the shape. Finally, he's showing the performance he was looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what he was waiting for. Maybe the tournament should have started with a Blitz, in order for him to come to this rhythm, to see that he's winning the games. But yeah, 6 points is incredible result for the Blitz portion. We are waiting for the players to arrive to the board. And
right. I think as soon as they sit down, the game starts like in something like 1 minute. They're not sitting there before they should. They're stretching their legs. They're taking some refreshments because, I mean, having a lot of energy, obviously in such a stressful distance is very important. Again, it feels it's a lot, 14 rounds, but it passes so quickly, right? I mean, we already have played 8 games. 6 games left. I mean, it's non-stop action. There's basically no breaks, just 2 small breaks, more blitz, more action, more time trouble, a lot of calculation. It's tough.
It's indeed very, very tough. And yeah, I mean, Blitz happens everything. We saw so many blunders. This recent blunder by Basim, I mean, this Quincy missing Queen C4 playing Rook H7 was quite something. We've seen so many games which were winning, but losing, and also losing on time happened a couple of times already. We see Arjun Erigaisi arriving to the board, and immediately Jules Moussard is also there.
No, this is a game I really look forward to because Erigaisi, he shows he's in form. Also, Jules Moussard, he is playing really good here, this Blitz, and he has all right tournament. In the classical portion, he's rather disappointed with his results because he had a couple of chances to score victories with the white color. Similarly, like the Chinese Grumps to Yu Yanyi, he unfortunately was not able to convert them, but still the Frenchman is in a good shape, and this is going to be a great game.
I think he also indeed in a great shape because he started Blitz with some loss and some 1 draw, 1 or 2 draws, and now he's actually starting to win. Like recent last 2 games, I think he won, so he's on the roll right now. Arjun Erigaisi is on the roll right now, winning so many games in a row. This is going to be an exciting matchup.
Actually, yesterday I was sitting in Jules in the restaurant unexpectedly. I mean, I saw him dining. I joined. And he said to me, do you know that Magnus is playing right now Bullet against Hikaru Nakamura, right? So, oh, wow, really? Okay, so we tuned in, and we spent the entire dinner watching the match, and yeah, it was very, very exciting. And Jules is a very nice guy, of course, and also follows what's happening out of the tournaments, and was very, very curious who is going to win it. As everybody already knows, Hikaru Nakamura prevailed.
Yeah, we have the players trying to focus on the game. The games are about to start, and we see a handshake, and 1d4 is on the board.
All right. Can we expect something sharp? No. London.
London is here. Wow.
Nothing dubious. We are going to see today London,
C5.
Italian game, call-split structures. There you go. E6.
C5 is played, is a very direct approach.
Magnus Carlsen recently complained. I mean, he is a big fan of the London system. He basically brought it to practice at the highest level. He said, I mean, you can't play the London anymore because it's basically already semi-forced draw. I'm not sure I share that sentiment, but if he says that, he probably knows what he's saying.
Yeah, for sure. And actually very interesting. Queen b6 was played. Normally Queen b6 is played if c3 is already on the board, with the idea Queen b3, c4. But here, Arjun is playing c4 himself.
Right, so the pawn on b2, I guess, he's not really interested to take, especially in the blitz game. It just gives some tempi for white. Knight c6 instead here. Musar is trying to counterattack white center, the pawn on d4. And this is something I think that the young Indian cares slightly more. You can have the pawn on b2, I don't care, but my center is more precious.
Yeah, for sure. Queen b3 is played right now, asking if black wants to trade the queens. And normally, basically the side, all the sides wants to trade to open the A file, so no one normally is taking. But ideas at some moment to play. Here it's not possible to take because knight takes on c4. Yeah, just castle, just waiting for asking white, you want to take my queen?
All right. Again, here, bishop e2, bishop d3. I guess bishop e2 or a3, taking care of the b4 square. Looks pretty interesting. I like white's chances here. So, not sure how black's going to continue. I think he would love to play e6, e5 and bring the bishop on c8 in the game. For that, I guess you need rook e8. No? Bishop d7.
Bishop d7 is played and, wow, immediately b4.
That is really aggressive, taking into account that white is underdeveloped. He has not developed his king side just yet. So I guess he wants to play c5, and that's what prompted the French champion to take on c4, knight c4, knight e5.
Indeed, trade on c4 happened. Now knight on d5 protecting the bishop and potentially threatens to take on f4. So now bishop c7, is it a move?
Probably. Yeah, it makes sense because the bishop on b6 doesn't do much. It appears that Eric Gaisi is well familiar with this position because you can't blitz out this move b4 with 2 minutes and 28 seconds if you haven't seen this before. The Frenchman perhaps is slightly less familiar because he has spent almost 1 minute more.
He's playing knight ce7, very interesting. The idea maybe he wants some time to play knight f5, bishop d3, stopping knight coming to f5.
Does it stop it though? I'm not really sure. I mean, I can still play knight f5.
Yeah, you can play knight f5. The question is,
do you want it? Yeah?
Do you want it? Yes.
That's a good point, of course. You have to basically guess. I mean, you have to be a good guesser in Blitz. You have to make these decisions very quickly. The Frenchman is choosing yours, Angelica, bishop c7.
Bishop c7 indeed was played. So now trade of the bishop might follow very soon. The question is on c7 or on g3.
I see a very beautiful outpost on d6, so bishop c7, knight d6 makes sense. Perhaps white is calculating something like e4, attacking the knight on d5. Let's say e4, bishop g3, and take on d5. But again, e4, knight f4, you have to calculate a lot of things quickly. Perhaps, you know, maybe I'm crazy, but what about the long castle?
Wow, I mean, of course, we're already in the endgame, so it doesn't matter, almost doesn't matter where the king is, if it's in the center or castled. And e4 indeed is played, so now bishop g3, I guess, should be knight f4.
Oh, knight f4, of course.
Ah,
that's
of
the
course.
critical move. Using the outpost, I was not sure how to validate this. Maybe now long castle, or maybe I just wanted too badly.
Wait a second, but now there could be some idea to play maybe knight e to g6 and c4, try to basically block that bishop there, out there on g3.
I don't like, at least visually, the c4 move, but I guess he calculated something precisely. Knight b5. It's so strange. I don't like this. It just looks weird. I think he wanted to do something,
Oh my God.
and he realized it's not working. I don't know what it was. We have no time to find it out because the game's moving on.
The game is moving on, and I'm starting thinking that black already equalized and already even starting pushing.
He's definitely pushing. I
Yeah.
mean, he has no problems in this position. White has made some committal moves. The king on e2 feels rather vulnerable. f6, knight c6, knight e4. There could be possibilities for black to try to take over the game. But I guess, objectively, white should be able to hold this.
Yeah, for sure. Rook comes to c8. So far, entry square only on c3. Rook a c1, or okay, rook h c1 was played. Right now,
f6. You
f6,
gotta get rid of this knight.
Absolutely. You don't want that knight standing there. Invariably, the knight
G4.
jumps.
Knight g4 because knight f3, e5. I don't like the knight on f3. Knight c4
knight
maybe
c4,
makes
yeah.
sense. Put it on e3.
Knight c4, potentially bishop b5 could be a move. So maybe indeed knight g4 has to be played. So there is not allowed, so that white doesn't allow black to. And knight f3 actually was played.
I don't like this.
No, but
all right,
this
it's a move.
It's a move, but the knight now is restricted.
Indeed. But again, I mean, maybe he thought a bit further, so the knight on f3 is not very good. But then, indeed, after knight e to f4, knight f3, it's exactly where it belongs. So It's never simple. Knight e4 is going to be a big move for the Frenchman, centralizing the knight and looking for some threats. So here, Eric Geisy is trying to keep the position together.
Knight d4 is played. Beautiful knight out there on d4. Trade of the rooks has just happened. King e7. In case rook c7, there is always rook d7. And f4, indeed, trying to blow up that pawn